All righty, our call-in line telephone number, if you'd like to be on the program today, this is a live radio talk show. 844-527-8723, 844-5-CRUSADE. Email address, same as it ever has been. I am King Dude at protonmail.com. That's I-A-M King Dude at protonmail.com. And the Crusader Stadium chat room is open for your commentary at crusadechannel.com/chat. Last day of the month of August 2025. Do you remember what you were doing a year ago? So a year ago, there would have, Trump was shot on July the 13th, so it would be 17, 18 days. Hence from that, the RNC would have gone on, and we'd be, a week away or so from the Democrat National Circus here. So last summer, we were not in the Ides or doldrums, rather, of July and then August. Last summer was actually quite active because the Biden regime was still working very hard at ruining everyone's lives and turning all things towards, so much of this stuff. You almost forget about how bad it was. And I think we should always remind ourselves what was going on a year ago, or maybe 5 years ago, or 10 years ago. A year ago, there would have been a couple of thousand, maybe 5 digits worth of children who would be in counseling and pre-surgery consultations with these monsters called pediatricians who would be about to lop their body parts off. Yeah, 1 year ago, there would be tens upon tens of thousands of children who would be told they were being told they were born in the wrong body in medical institutions across the United States, including in cities that you wouldn't think it would happen in, like Memphis, Tennessee, would be preparing children for first psychological, and then chemical, and then pharmaceutical, and finally surgical mutilations. Not happening today. 1 year ago today, Leah Williams, or William, I always forget that creep's name, William Thompson, would be looking for his next swim meet to compete in to steal a gold medal from a woman. The Tour de France is coming up, and in the female version of it, there would probably be a dude who couldn't beat a Lance Armstrong type, who would be working his way into the Tour de France, for example. If there's any sort of Olympic events, there would be men sneaking into them. The NCAA didn't have the stones to tell men who were on fencing teams that they couldn't stab women who were half their size in a fencing match. All this stuff was going on a year ago today. Not going on a year today. And much of that is due, of course, to the change of the regimes and the Trump administration taking over. And a year ago, there still would have been inflation. A year ago, price of eggs is probably double what it is today per dozen. We could go down the inflation. Could look at some of the economic numbers. By the way, meeting of the Federal Reserve yesterday, and Jerome Powell went dolphin on Trump. Better King Dude, please, what dolphin? No. No cut in interest rates. I told somebody this the other day. I said, I actually don't disagree with that. I think that that's the policy. I think that it is prudent. You've got the tariffs that are now going to start working. There's going to be an adjustment period to that. You have the onshoring of all this capital here. Let it play its course. Let it play its course. Let the capital get out there. Let many of the people that are not engaging in productive endeavors and aren't working, much of this is going to change. The laws were changed. The Medicare laws and the welfare laws kind of pretty much back where we were in 1997 when the end of welfare as we know it was passed. Let this stuff take effect. and then see where the things that are reliant upon interest rates, like, again, new home construction. They're building new homes right down the road from here. I drove past them the other day, and I'm looking at one. I'm looking at there are blocks of them, and I'm looking at them going like, what do they know that I don't know? Because there are existing homes right here in my neighborhood that are for sale. And one that has been for like 14 months now. This house was for sale for almost 20 months until I went, nope, taking it off the market. So, maybe it is the case or the fact that the constant exchange of what we call real estate, existing home sales, new home sales, was never meant to be a thing that was monetized and industrialized. Maybe it used to be that you lived in a home because it was a place to raise this thing called a family. And maybe it used to be that, primarily men in the workforce, very few women, stability was something that was cherished, and maybe even why it was cherished, maybe taken for granted. But that kind of stability would then give people the opportunity that you wouldn't be changing. You wouldn't be hopping neighborhoods all the time because, I got to move for work. Probably never heard that 100 years ago, that you got to move for work. This is something that the mechanized and automobilized age has brought into existence that pretty much didn't exist 100 years ago. So maybe looking at the construction business, and not that we're opposed to building houses. Please, you people, don't take that the wrong way. But just building them for the sake of, no, we have to have construction. We have to have construction jobs. Pretty sure that formula doesn't work in that order, and that's why you're in the situation you're in, and that's why it's bubble. It is a bubble. Even if it is an industry, it used to be a craft, building houses. Used to be something you go like, oh man, don't let that guy build your house. He didn't know what the hell he's doing. That's if you didn't actually build your house. In any event, I'm just babbling on. The genocide in Gaza continues apace. The world, slowly but surely, person by person and now country by country, are now beginning, finally, to confront the evil that is the government of Israel and tell it, you can't do that anymore. You must stop. And I keep praying every day and wondering, is there anyone in the Trump administration that will spit out the Zion pill and tell the president, advise him, we're wrong on Gaza? I think the first small, and it's a very small one, but the very small indication that there must be someone in that inner circle that has Trump's ear and is telling him this is not good. We should not be a part of that. Look, Tucker Carlson just did an interview with John Mearsheimer, and we're going to play you some clips from it today. And Mearsheimer saying that this is a genocide. The United States should not be funding it. We should have nothing to do with it. If you really want to win the Nobel Peace Prize, then you need to tell your buddy, Netanyahu, he's not your buddy anymore, that if he doesn't want to go down in history as a war criminal as big and as bad as the ones from World War II, he needs to bring this and his scheme to an immediate end. I think that the part that most people, and I will confess that I'm not well-versed enough in it. I will take some time and will catch myself up. I mean, I know the nuts and bolts of it. But that there is, Netanyahu keeps saying, you're not going to thwart our war plans. Now, wait a minute. Wait a cotton-picking minute. If we go back to October the 8th, 2023, I thought this was a surprise attack. Remember then when the words, when the super high-tech hang gliders and the G.I. Joe boats, the inflatable G.I. Joe boats, stormed the beaches of Israel from Palestine. Remember, this was a shocking, Hamas has done this. This was a shocking. No one knew this was coming. It was absolutely unplanned. There was no intelligence indicating that there was going to be this invasion and this kidnapping of all these hostages and then the killing of all these people at this festival and what have you. But our brave men and women in white and blue Israeli uniforms sprang into action because they've been trained to do so. And they began to fight back. Did they begin to fight back, or did they begin to execute the plan that had always been laying there? Remember, there were many people that were investigating in October and November of 2023 and early 2024. And I imagine there are probably still some people that are still looking at this and still saying that the IDF basically lowered the gates and told those people to come in. That the Israeli, remember, they have the Iron Dome, supposedly. That there was no way that the Israelis could possibly succumb to such an attack like that, especially from a bunch of homeless goat herders. And I think the other day when the president said, look, there is a humanitarian crisis and we got to get food to the people of Gaza, when he was pressed on it about Hamas. What did he say? No, I think it's very bad. And Hamas is these are very bad people. No one objects that the Hamas are bad people. By the way, someone told me in a private message that they sent me yesterday, King Dude, you need to look into this. You do know that Hamas is basically the private army of the Muslim Brotherhood. And I went, I have heard that. And I haven't explored it a lot, but I have heard that from reliable people. I think Mearsheimer might even say this in the Tucker Carlson interview. But in any event, this has to come to an end. And I said this yesterday. Where's the UN? Why isn't the UN squawking about this? And the only thing I can think of is it true that the intelligence agency known as Mossad is actually the most powerful one on earth? That it's not the CIA? That it's not MI5? That instead it is Mossad? And that the conspiracy, the usual suspects,
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin' frogs gay. Do you understand that? Turn the friggin' frogs gay. Crap.
The usual suspects that sometimes make these claims about Mossad, maybe they got a point. And maybe this is part of why so many people bend the knee to Benny. It's worth continuing to talk about, and certainly for the preservation of human life, and what little Christian life remains in Palestine, that this must come to an end. We'll continue talking about it. Let's talk about Deion Sanders for just a moment. Miniature, please. We're not talking sports today. This is a news digest. He's in the news. You remember the Deion Sanders? Deion was also Jabbo Deion. Deion Sanders was one of the biggest, I don't say biggest, one of the flashiest and loudest voices for forced vaccination of NFL players, NCAA players, anyone that would go anywhere in contact with anyone needed to be double Moderna or Pfizer goo, Franken goo, death jabbed, or they couldn't play in the sport. Sanders, infamously or famously, depending on whose side you're on, was publicly vaccinated. Remember, he went into that camp, I want to say it was in Texas, outside of Texas Stadium, that where they were vaccinating all those people and kids were lining up because the football players were all doing, hey, Deion's getting vaccinated, maybe I should. And that Neon Deion is also double, triple, quadruple vaxxed and boosted Neon. And it was after Sanders got boosted that his leg began to fail. Am I the only one that remembers? No, Dr. Peter McCullough remembers this. That Neon Deion Sanders almost lost, I think it was his left leg, because he had some sort of, it was an arterial problem. It was a blood flow problem. And they were talking about amputating his leg, but somehow, miraculously, the doctors were able to save his leg. He had there was another malady that he had in 2024, and now just 2 days ago, Neon Deion comes out and announces, or 3 days ago, today's Thursday, right? So 3 days ago, comes out and announces that he has a super double secret probation form of bladder cancer. And this is not your garden variety bladder cancer. This is a bladder cancer that is chronic. It acts extremely fast, and basically it is going to eat his bladder. So he's either going to have a colostomy tube, or however it is that you do that for your kidneys, or they're going to have to try and do something. And, we had the soundbite from Dr. Peter McCullough, our old friend, on how this procedure goes. I was listening to this going like, dude. So apparently they take a piece of your large intestine, they cut it out, and this is almost like a tranny surgery. And they make a fake bladder out of it, and then they put that back. Look, I don't pretend to know. If Dr. McCullough was describing it, going like, oh, man, turn it off. I don't want to hear this. So in any event, how come Deion Sanders has not made the connection that his chronic health problems followed his Franken-goo, M-RNA, DNA-altering vaccine schedule? And if it's happening to Sanders, why do we all then not make the connection and the correlation? We now know that identification of formerly rare cancers and diagnosis of and identification of rare forms of cancer that basically almost didn't exist a mere 2-3 years ago are now on the increase. Why is that? Why all of a sudden would people be coming down with forms of cancer that you could only look up in a textbook? Maybe that has something to do with the fact that a couple 100 million people on this continent were injected with a substance that radically and systematically altered the very makeup of their genetic structure, which is what the M-RNA seems, it's actually what they say it does. It's just it was only supposed to act on certain cells. No, you're not going to find it in the breastises. You're not going to find it in that woman's ovaries. Yeah, you will. And yeah, they are. So it's a story that most people don't have eyes on. They only have eyes on the human element of Deion Sanders, but no one has eyes on the why. Why? Yep. So we'll talk about that as the program gets underway today. So I have all that. Oh, the male birth control pill. Now, this one has to be the most stupid of all stupid ideas in the history of stupid ideas. Apparently, this thing called, what's the code word for it? It's got is it YCT? I know it's in here somewhere. It's in the pile. Of course, I can't find it. Oh, it's not in the pile. I was reading it.
It was yesterday.
Oh, it's yesterday. The abbreviation for it is got a code name. It's clear to human trial. I have to ask, for what purpose? Which someone...
ICT 529.
ICT, it's not in yesterday's either. ICT. Oh, YC2529. I would tell you what it is if I could find the damn story, which I know is somewhere in this melange, this pile 16 inches high of stories here, but I can't find it. In any event, why? What is the genesis? What is the impetus? Whose idea was it to sterilize men who are already basically being sterilized by what's in the food supply and in the water? Film at 11.
Now in our 9th year, Crusade Channel News is simply the best daily newscast on all of radio that informs and inspires the Crusader Nation. Catch it at 6, 8, 11, and 1 p.m. on the Crusade Radio Network, our app, and always on crusadechannel.com.
And so, the responsibility of every coffee cup is to ensure the authenticity, the freshness, and... Now, who in the name of Pete Hexes could this be?
Good afternoon, dear.
Dear, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be home with the little coffee cups.
I was home with little Arabica, Columbia, and baby Dark Roasta, and then the phone rang. It was Director Trump.
What did he want?
Well, seems he was told that when we were at Coffee Cup Academy together, I was the one chosen to be the coffee cup inspector. Then...
When I look into those dark, roasted eyes of yours, all I can think of is, well, will you be my wifeachino?
And I've been completely happy raising our little espressos until you started spending all your time fending off some dropout and his pet Sasquatch.
It wasn't a Sasquatch, it was a Rougarou. And besides...
Oh, save it for the decaffers. To guarantee we bring about the golden age of American coffee, Director Trump has put me back in charge.
Will Miss Coffee Cup save the CCA and bring about the golden age of American coffee? Stay tuned to this station for our next episode. And in the meantime, order Abbey Roast Coffee at shop.mychurch.com.
Hello, Crusaders. I'm Janet Huxley at the Crusade Radio Network News Desk with your Crusade Crucials for Thursday, July 31st, 2025. This report is brought to you by Capuchin Holy Roast Coffee, a blend personally crafted by Mike Church, made from South American and Africa's finest gourmet coffee beans, and roasted to perfection. Available in whole bean or ground. Pick up a bag or 6 today at shop.mikechurch.com. In the market report, the Dow closed down 0.38%, the S&P 0.12%, NASDAQ was up 0.15%. In National Day calendar news, today is National Avocado Day. Avocados target insulin resistance with heart-healthy fats, and they also fight Alzheimer's with omega-3 fatty acids. Another avocado superpower is preventing and repairing damage due to its source of vitamin C, E, and K. And as of 2015, avocado consumption in the United States has doubled since 2005 and quadrupled since 2000. It's also National Chili Dog Day, it's National Raspberry Cake Day, it's Mutt Day, and it's also Intern Day. And our quote of the day, no one heals himself by wounding another, St. Ambrose. And our saint of the day is the founder of the Jesuits, St. Ignatius of Loyola. You're listening to Crusade Radio Network News.
In the era of the Biden regime, the Mike Church Show lives by the creed, if at first you don't succeed, try again. And if that doesn't work, move to Grenada.
All right, bad dad jokes. Why do paper maps always or never? Why do paper maps never win at poker? Maggie, do you know why paper maps never win at poker? Why don't paper maps ever win at poker? Because they always fold. Come on, I know that that's a terrible, awful, awful dad joke. Somebody sent it to me. We may actually be doing a radio show that will actually be an entire show of bad dad jokes. Stay tuned for details. Mike Church Show on the Crusade channel here. The last day of July 2025, 31 July 2025. This portion of the program brought to you by the Founders Trading Post store. Folks, I got all these books I need to get off my hands. Can you take one off of our hands? How about David McCullough's 1776? This is the book that I read and was so inspired by it that I was inspired to start making radio dramas and then movies about the founding of America, the road to independence, the spirit of 76, the fame of our fathers, times that try men's souls, what Lincoln killed, episode 1, etc., etc. You know, it was all inspired by reading McCullough's 1776 book, which we have copies of in the Founders Trading Post store at shop.mikechurch.com. At shop.mikechurch.com. There are too many other great books to mention. The farming books we talk about all the time. I talk about those books, but no one ever buys them. They just sit there. These are, look, was you read? Yes, I actually have read all those books. But not only did I read them, I mutilated them with one of these guys. I'm brandishing, if you're listening on radio, a neon yeller, not yellow, it's yeller, a neon yeller fluorescent marker. And then for extra credit, I'll use one of these guys. This is a who makes it? This is actually it's a pilot pen, right in the margins there. So yes, I have read those books and they're great books, and you should get one today. Shop.mikechurch.com, shop.mikechurch.com. Don't forget the Cappuccino Holy Roast and the brand new shipment that's sitting out there, so fresh. 5 different blends and varieties in whole bean and ground of Abbey Roast coffees. You're going to buy a gourmet coffee anyway. Why don't you get it from us and pay one shipping cost? So you don't have to go to the coffee roasting dude that you're in love with. Not that you shouldn't support him, but you can pretty much get that same coffee from us and throw a book and some of our spices in there at the same time with one shipping. If you spend $50, I'll buy the shipping. Shop with us today. Shop.mikechurch.com. One more thing. We got to talk about what happened in Cincinnati last Friday, too. One more thing about the Deion Sanders thing, when we play the Dr. McCullough clip, I'll let him explain to you. So is it made out of the small intestine, the fake bladder? So people have been messaging me and text messaging me going, hey, dude, I know someone that had this happen to them. That you had this bladder cancer, this rare bladder cancer, where you got to have your whole bladder removed, and then they function a new one for you out of pieces that they take of one of your intestines. I thought I read large. It is, okay, small intestine. But that doesn't make a bladder. It's not a muscle. Because at the end of the day, not only is a bladder something that can hold you-know-what, but it is surrounded by, it has muscles built into it, which is why when you get full muscles and nerves, you know it because the nerves are going like, hey, dude, get me to an empty station. I got to download, bruh. A bladder that would be fashioned out of something like a small intestine, even though it's living tissue, it's not going to have those sensories in it. So you're going to have to manually kind of monitor yourself. And I actually know a guy that has to do this. Manually monitor yourself, and you're going to have to manually keep up with it. Maggie says patients with neobladders still cannot urinate a normal way. The Dr. Waldo said. Instead, patients have to learn to empty their neobladder by using abdominal muscles to generate sufficient pressure on the neobladder to push the urine out. Some patients will not be able to do this efficiently and need get a catheter basically, or a catheterize. That's how you say that. Catheterize. But the only reason I mentioned it is because of Deion Sanders, and the guy keeps getting sick. Why is his body all of a sudden rejecting normal, healthy body parts? Well, he is the poster boy of college football coaches for the jab. And it might have something to do with it. The city of Cincinnati. You know, I only covered this tangentially because we weren't here on Monday. So this woman, her name was Holly, okay. Now, most of the film that you see about this, and I don't know if this is her boyfriend or her husband or who the guy is, but most of the film is of the guy, the gentleman, running from this mob, Black Panther Utes, who chase him, and then he falls. And once he falls, that's when they begin to kick him and then beat him upside the head and then drop kick his head and then sit there and scream and chant like there's an Aborigine rite of passage going on. And then if you watch the whole video, it's almost 3 minutes long. 2 minutes and 10 seconds or so, because I watched it for the first time in its entirety today. 2 minutes and 10 seconds in is when Holly, now she's there the whole time, but is when she makes her way to the guy who was beat, whose name I still don't know. She helps him get up, and the mob of ancestral right Aborigines, Cincinnati Aborigines, are standing around going, oh, oh, hollering and screaming. You can hear the video. You almost have to mute it. And so this woman, Holly, has helps this guy up, and there are a couple of other people there that were with them that are helping him up, and he's trying to get reoriented, and then out of nowhere, stage right, barrels in a large overflowing glacier of a black woman, who then goes and begins pummeling Holly upside the head with her fists. Then Holly turns away to try to protect the left side of her face from this lunatic, from this Aborigine practicing the Cincinnati ancient Aboriginal rite of whatever it was, rite of beating Whitey. And then coming in from stage left, you don't see this guy until right before he hits her, is another black male who gets a clear shot at the right side of Holly's face, and with a right, pretty much uppercut, kind of a cross between a hook and an uppercut. She turns into it, and he hits her in her right eye. I say it's a miracle her orbital socket is not fractured. And that's a concussive blow that knocks her out. That's a concussive blow that knocks her out. Now, I want you to think about that for just a second. That man hit that woman so hard, it pushed her eye back into her head, up against her brain, causing her brain to go, shut down, reboot, and she fell to the ground. You look at your screen if you're watching us on YouTube or X.com. That is Holly. That's what she looks like 2 days ago. By the way, at Senator, who's the senator that posted this? Senator Bernie Moreno of Ohio posted the pictures. I'll just read you Moreno's tweet if Maggie wants to follow it. Cincinnati is an amazing and spectacular city. Cincinnati was an amazing and spectacular city. I know you got to say that because you are an elected senator from Ohio, Mr. Marino, but you can't possibly mean that any longer. It deserves political leadership that matches the greatness of its citizens. The citizens are the ones that beat Holly up. Those are citizens. Ostensibly, until someone comes out and tells me, no, man, they came from another, they were from a rival tribe. Because at this point in time, if you watch this stuff, it looks like you're watching the actions of tribes. Aftab Puraval. What kind of a name is that? Well, this is the pretty boy. I guess he's Muslim parents. He says he's been, I read his bio. He says he's Cincinnati born and bred and raised or whatever. Guy is the current mayor of Cincinnati. Aftab Puraval issues a late week statement. Senator Marino, if he issued one, it's not on his Twitter because I went to his X this morning. There's nothing there. You know what is there, though? Mayor Puraval still has his pinned post from July the 26th. Oh, the amazing, wonderful day of all these wonderful people have been inducted into the Black Music Walk of Fame. The Black Music Walk of Fame. So the city of Cincinnati, like almost every other city in the United States, segregates, identifies, and then segregates talented people away from the general population in the community that is supposed to be the city, and then segregates them into a class based on the color of their skin. I thought I remember somewhere, some guy, what was his name? Oh, wait a minute, hold on. There are three words. First word, sounds like garden. No, don't tell me. Martin. I thought I remember watching some dude named Martin Luther King Jr. 4 words, actually. Did he say something about being judged by contents of characters and not colors of skins? Pretty sure I thought I heard that. Not so much anymore. Yeah, we don't do that anymore. Because the Reverend Jackson and the race hucksters of the 80s, 90s, and aughts told us, oh, no, of course we judge you by the color of your skin. You're white. You're lower than I am. I'm black. I am entitled to things. Now give them to me. And if you complain about it, I'll call you a racist. That's the game. I'm black. You're white. You have things. I want them. I don't feel like earning them. So I'm going to use the government to take them from you and give them to me. And if you complain about it, I'm going to call you names. That's quite a grift, isn't it? So I don't know who this character is who calls himself mayor, Aftab Puraval, but I can tell you that he doesn't care about Holly. There's nothing on any of his social media that says peep about a citizen that was nearly beaten to death in his own city. Cowardice. You know what this is? Well, I don't want to anger and upset. You don't want to anger and upset the people that beat Holly up? What in the hell is wrong with you people? I'm going to get to that in just a moment. Police chief blames social media. Senator Marino, with all due respect, bro, she didn't just blame social media. She blamed alcohol. She said it was the alcohol. And we're going to get to the bottom of who overserved the people that beat the crap out of Holly. And then prosecutor Connie Pillitch lets the guy off with, what did he pay? $400 bail. Dude walked out. Then you have the prospect of the city councilwoman. This is on my Twitter here today, by the way. The city councilwoman, what's her name? Victoria Parks, city councilwoman Victoria Parks, in a social media thread, some guy named Our Serenity Eric Ford says they didn't have to do them like that. He was obviously drunk. How do you know he was drunk? Victoria Parks, they begged for that beatdown. I am grateful for the whole story. You're a member of the city council of Cincinnati. You're saying that citizens They were attending your jazz festival, begged to be beaten, begged to have Holly's face 2 days later, and that you're grateful for the whole story. What in the hell is going on here? What, Maggie's saying, what, there was another one?
Iris Raleigh. There's also a councilwoman, Iris Raleigh. She also basically posted the same thing.
What,
So it seems to be an administrative type thing.
Oh, we're thrilled and we're excited about this.
She posted, he deserved it, all of it.
Yeah, he deserved it. Why did he deserve it? Because because he's a cracker, because he's a white boy. Here, I want to explore this further. Because this keeps happening. It happens in New Orleans, it happens in Chicago, it happens in LA, it happens in Detroit, it happens in New Tenochtitlan City, it happens in Philadelphia. It happens in every major city in the United States that's run by a Democrat and has been run by the Democrats. Now, I think that we should look at something a little deeper than, well, why were they just Christian? This poor white couple. What did the white couple do? Well, they showed up, number one. And number two was Friday night. So, hey, let's have a little fun with a beatdown. Perhaps I'm the only member of the broadcast live talk radio morning show media that will dare to wade into this territory, but let me just say something to you. There is something that is fundamentally and seriously and demonically wrong with people who leave a 2 millennia long tradition of naming beautiful children who are born as children of God, and who leave the tradition of naming those children after apostles and then after saints that came after the apostles. Lamangelo is a box of jello. Archoishigoromo is a made-up name, probably the name of a demon. I'm not going to get into all these names because it's not the young people that have the names. It's not their fault. They didn't do it. But they could stop it. So an entire cult of people completely and totally reject the beautiful Christian tradition of naming your children after holy people. Maybe some of the names that you have made up, because they're not named after holy people, maybe those names either are or will be adopted by and taken up by demons and bad people. You know, it's okay. Let's go over something real quick. You're saying like that has nothing to do with the ticket. I don't believe in coincidences. How many children do you know that were born in the last 50 years whose first name is Adolf? I'll wait. Do 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 do. Almost no one names their children Adolf anymore. Why not? Why not? It's a perfectly good name. Starts with A. It's the beginning of the alphabet. Gets you listed and your kid will get to sit in the first row of homeroom. What's not to love about Adolf? Oh, right. The Hitler guy. So when people say, well, you know, if you were named after an apostle or a saint, it used to be that people would go like, oh, that's his namesake. That's his namesake. Now, somebody's going to say, yeah, but other people, what are you saying, the name Cody? Don't take that all the way to the house. Don't take that all the way to the house. You're talking about an overall trend, and especially amongst people that are acting as though that they was almost acting as though, if you don't want to say that they travel in tribes, okay, fine. They travel in gangs. You want to use gangs instead of tribes? Fine, go ahead and use gangs. You know, I put this on my Twitter today, and few people are going to be brave enough, if they even read it or see it, or maybe they just think I'm stupid. I don't know. Maybe I am stupid. Maggie's going, there may be a little merit to that. I wrote about this, and I think that because few people are going to write about here. You can grab my tweet and put it in the chat room at crusadechannel.com/chat. This is one of these tweets that's going to be seen by no one, and I know it's going to be seen because it tells the truth. Okay, so this is Holly, the woman who was sucker punched by a male thug on Friday last in Cincinnati, the city they named in honor of George Washington. True story, look it up. Whose honor and class are nowhere to be found in this city's public life. The police chief blamed alcohol and social media. A councilwoman named Victoria Parks blamed Holly, said she begged for it. The mayor still bragging about Black Music Walk of Fame inductees. A cult of death that has been force-fed and now embraced by an entire sub-citizenry, urban blacks, sees others, especially those they don't resemble, as less than human enemies. Millions of blacks have been born and raised in a cult devoid of Christ and his charity, partly evidenced by the near total rejection of 2 millennia of Christians naming their children for the apostles and many saints that followed. Cincinnati, like Boston and every other American urban death center, are now basically mission cities, awaiting the next wave of Franciscans, Augustinians, and Dominicans to evangelize literally the natives and win souls through baptism for Christ. Replace the thugs who beat up Holly and thousands of other whites and Asians the last 2 decades with the Iroquois who martyred St. John Brebeuf, and you'll get the picture. Our Lady of America or Penobes. So maybe I am stupid, and maybe that's a little bit over the top, but there are at least nuggets of truth in that, meaning that few people will see it, and even fewer people will dare to go like, do I hit the heart button? No, then they'll think I think like him, and that kid ought to be named after apostles and saints and stuff, and that there's a bunch of Iroquois Indians. Well, there are a bunch of Iroquois Indians running around in major metropolitan cities acting like there are, well, Iroquois Indians. At least the Iroquois had a healthy... Look, the Iroquois were demon. They were possessed. They did pagan rituals. They worshipped and prayed to pagan idols, read demons. And when St. John Brebeuf and Marquette and, the North American martyrs, St. Isaac Jogues, and all the rest of the black robes came. They were Jesuits, actually. When they came, what did they do? They tried to evangelize them. They tried to baptize many of them. This was true of the Algonquin Indians, too, who weren't quite as violent. But the point being is that Christians waded into the basically the frontier of North America, and in many cases were very successful in converting the natives, if you will, to being Christians. Look at what happened to Mexico and the Aztecs. They're gone. What? They're gone. Now, they're reviving now, but they're not calling themselves Aztecs. Look at what happened to the Indian tribes that populated California. You know, all those mission towns from San Luis Obispo all the way up to San Francisco and even further north, those were all settled by primarily Franciscans, and they set churches up and they baptized the people, and they were Christianized basically here. Well, you drive Christ out of the cities, you're back where Yogues and the rest of the black robes were when they got here. And these people, you can hope that there will be some missions. Pray for it.
Now in our 9th year, Crusade Channel News is simply the best daily newscast on all of radio that informs and inspires the Crusader Nation. Catch it at 6, 8, 11, and 1 p.m. on the Crusade Radio Network, our app, and always on crusadechannel.com.
Have you ever dreamed of being like Brian Kay or Mitter Monday and being a free Farm Friday star? But you know you have no shot at it because you can't tell the difference between a U and a Y-O-U. Well, lucky for you, we have an entire bookstore filled with the books you need to become so passionate for farming, you'll soon be wearing a Brian Kay Calls Me for Advice t-shirt. So learn to grow by growing your library with books by shopping at shop.mikechurch.com.
See, I said if I can't feel it, then how could it be? No magic could happen to me. And then I saw you, I couldn't believe it. You took my heart, I couldn't retrieve it. Said to myself, what's it all about? Now I know there can be no doubt. You can do magic. You can have anything that you desire. Magic. And you know you're the one who can put out the fire. You know darn well when you cast your spell, you will get your way. When you hypnotize with your eyes, a heart of stone can turn to clay.
When President Trump attempts to make America great again, we'll be there for you with the best with live coverage and commentary in media on the Crusade Radio Network, our app, and always on crusadechannel.com.
Hey folks, it's the King Dude with a free lesson in stuff you really don't need to know. When you think about the word flag, do you consider just how many different ways the word can be used? For example, there's the Jersey Shore pawn shop version. Hey Joey, did you catch the drawl on that Goma trying to buy the box set of season 3 of Real Housewives of Jersey? Maybe we ought to flag that purchase. Well, Joey and Carmine are debating the Sassy Cat meme. Let me fill you in on another flag item, the flag of the Sacred Heart of Jesus. Our Founders Trading Post is the exclusive maker and distributor of this one-of-a-kind stunning flag, and right now you can take $5 off and get a matching Sacred Heart bumper sticker for free. Don't cost nothing. Hurry, supplies are limited, so order today. Go to mikechurch.com/flag or call us at 844-527-8723.
Hello, Crusaders. I'm Janet Huxley at the Crusade Radio Network News Desk with your Crusade Crucials for Thursday, July 31st, 2025. This report is brought to you by Capuchin Holy Roast Coffee, a blend personally crafted by Mike Church, made from South American and Africa's finest gourmet coffee beans, and roasted to perfection. Available in whole bean or ground. Pick up a bag or 6 today at shop.mikechurch.com. In the market report, the Dow closed down 0.38%, the S&P 0.12%, NASDAQ was up 0.15%. In National Day calendar news, today is National Avocado Day. Avocados target insulin resistance with heart-healthy fats, and they also fight Alzheimer's with omega-3 fatty acids. Another avocado superpower is preventing and repairing damage due to its source of vitamin C, E, and K. And as of 2015, avocado consumption in the United States has doubled since 2005 and quadrupled since 2000. It's also National Chili Dog Day, it's National Raspberry Cake Day, it's Mutt Day, and it's also Intern Day. And our quote of the day, no one heals himself by wounding another, St. Ambrose. And our saint of the day is the founder of the Jesuits, St. Ignatius of Loyola. You're listening to Crusade Radio Network News.
And so, the responsibility of every coffee cup is to ensure the authenticity, the freshness, and... Now, who in the name of Pete Hexes could this be?
Good afternoon, dear.
Dear, what are you doing here? You're supposed to be home with the little coffee cups.
I was home with little Arabica, Columbia, and baby Dark Roasta, and then the phone rang. It was Director Trump.
What did he want?
Well, seems he was told that when we were at Coffee Cup Academy together, I was the one chosen to be the coffee cup inspector. Then...
When I look into those dark, roasted eyes of yours, all I can think of is, well, will you be my wifeachino?
And I've been completely happy raising our little espressos until you started spending all your time fending off some dropout and his pet Sasquatch.
It wasn't a Sasquatch, it was a Rougarou. And besides...
Oh, save it for the decaffers. To guarantee we bring about the golden age of American coffee, Director Trump has put me back in charge.
Will Miss Coffee Cup save the CCA and bring about the golden age of American coffee? Stay tuned to this station for our next episode. And in the meantime, order Abbey Roast Coffee at shop.mychurch.com.
Back in the 90s, there was this thing called the cigar boom where everyone was buying and smoking handmade cigars. But here's the thing. The popular cigars then were the best made cigars like Fuente, Hoya de Monterrey, and Avo. Over the next 10 years, craftsmanship was replaced by gimmick and slick packaging. And that's when I decided to get in the business and launched El Rey Dude Corona cigars. 20 years later, I launched Mancipio Maria cigars with that same principle in mind. Make a great handmade cigar, and that's exactly what we do in 4 sizes. I invite you to try a 4-pack sampler of my Mancipio Maria cigars and taste them for yourself in smooth, natural, or bold Maduro wrappers. And to sweeten the deal, I've discounted them 25% for a limited time. And as always, we include a personal humidifier with every order. To order, go to shop.mikechurch.com. Order $50 or more, and shipping is on me. Try my Mancipio Maria cigars today at shop.mikechurch.com. Hey folks, it's Mike Church, producer of the Shakespeare Radio Film Festival, announcing that we're offering the entire festival, including Joseph Pierce's commentaries, for just $19.95. That's a 50% discount. This exclusive download will include over 16 hours of festival content. To reserve your Shakespeare Radio Film Festival download at an incredible 50% off, go to crusadechannel.com/Hamlet. Hey, it's the King Dude for MyPillow. Mike Lindell sent me my first set of MyPillows 14 years ago. I loved them then, and I still love that same set of original MyPillows today. True story. Now, that's a testament to the craftsmanship and quality of the MyPillow. But don't take my word for it. Go try it for yourself. Use my unique code and get huge discounts and free shipping on all orders by going to MyPillow.com/King Dude. That's MyPillow.com/King Dude.
When President Trump attempts to make America great again, we'll be there for you with the best with live coverage and commentary in media on the Crusade Radio Network, our app, and always on crusadechannel.com.
Hey, Mrs. McGillicuddy, don't be a satellite radio snob and pass by the Mike Church Show. Come on in and browse.
May I help you?
Oh, no thanks, just browsing.
How long do you intend to browse?
Well, that lady there, you didn't ask her how long she intends to browse. How come you're asking us how long we intend to browse?
You don't look like browsers.
Now that that's over,
How about a Fresca?
the Mike Church Show, entertaining browsers and fans since 1992 on the Veritas Radio Networks. Crusade.
Me?
Men of the Valley.
Guard up.
Citizens, soldiers. I'm here at the order of General Robert E. Lee, commanding all Virginia forces. On April 15th of this year of our Lord, 1861, Simon Cameron, the Secretary of War of the United States, sent a telegram to our Governor, John Letcher, directing him to raise 3 regiments of infantry to be sent to assist in suppressing the Southern Confederacy. Governor Letcher's answer is well known to you, but perhaps not his words. His wire to Washington stated, "You have chosen to inaugurate civil war. And having done so, we will meet you in a spirit as determined as the Lincoln administration has exhibited toward the South." 2 days later, the Virginia legislature voted for secession. Just as we would not send any of our soldiers to march in other states and tyrannize other people, so will we never allow the armies of others to march into our state and tyrannize our people. Like many of you, indeed most of you, I've always been a Union man. It is not with joy or with a light heart that many of us have welcomed secession. Had our neighbors to the north practiced a less bellicose form of persuasion, perhaps this day might not have come, but that day has been thrust upon us like it was thrust upon our ancestors. The Lincoln administration required us to raise 3 regiments. Tell them we have done so.
Did you know that the album version of this song is 9 minutes long? True story. 100 stories high. How you do? All right, folks, we are just days away from the relaunch of Crusade Channel. Crusade Channel 4.0 is coming. It was so entertaining. When the boogie started to explode, I heard somebody say, let's go and burn them down. Big news out of Rome today. Pope Leo XIV, His Holiness, says that Saint John Henry Newman is to be declared a doctor of the Catholic Church. And I'm sure that move will be met with great approbation from many people who otherwise don't think to throw a lot of approbation the Holy Father's way. This is important, though. Miniature plays! Why is it important? Okay, hair lip guy, I'll tell you why. Newman was a convert. A late in life convert. Not just a convert, but one that he was an Anglican. And he, when he converted, isn't it Newman that said to be Protestant is to be steeped or ignorance of history? I have been on our sojourn to England in 2018. Maggie and I went to the oratory of the, it's a lay order of priests, basically. And it's in Birmingham, England. It's a beautiful church. And they did a form of the, if you're a Catholic, you'll know what this means. If you're not, it's inside Catholic baseball for just a moment. They did a form of the Novus Ordo I'd never seen before, because the priest basically did it almost as though he was doing the old rite, the Latin rite. He was ad orientem. He was facing east or away from the people, and we're all facing the same direction again. It was quite lovely, but the library was closed, and we weren't able to go into the library, but they kind of told us all about all the books and everything are in there. So basically, Newman is a great saint, a scholar, genius, brilliant. I mean, his writings are just profound. And the fact that Pope Leo, the Holy Father, is going to add him to the list. Where is Jaconis when I need him? He's, a little while ago, he was all about cat dude pictures and pictures of his cats. Can I call upon the unofficial theologian of the My Church Show? How many doctors does this make now? Is this 20 or 21? I don't want to say. In any event, it's big news. And because Newman was, again, that he was a convert to the faith and a scholar at that, I just think it's wonderful. It's the Birmingham Oratory. There's a school that's there. We had to park like almost a quarter of a mile away and walk to get to the oratory. There's I probably took 100 pictures there, and I have them all. There's a garden there, kind of a not a garden, but as you walk, there's a brick wall that's around the whole church. You go into that, and then you're in an area that's outside of the church. Are those our pictures, or no? Okay, those are just ones that you found. In any event, great big news. This portion of the program brought to you by our friends at MyPillow.com/King Dude. MyPillow.com/King Dude. That's it right there. That's the oratory grounds. Beautiful right there. Get free shipping on orders over $75 or more at MyPillow.com. So if you don't have a MyPillow and you're wondering if for the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, visit MyPillow.com. Is that true? Yes, it is. And I was hugging my two MyPillows last night as a daily testament and have been hugging them for 15 years. Get yourself a MyPillow. If you travel a lot, get a travel MyPillow, which tucks away in a suitcase. There's a special case or container that you put it into, and you could travel with it, and that way you always have a nice pillow to sleep in when you go to one of those, kind of hotel rooms. Go to MyPillow.com/King Dude. Don't forget the My Slippers. I love my Slippers. Wear them every night, including last night. You'll love yours, too. Lots of stuff for men and for women, and even for your pets, made by Minnesotans in Minnesota. MyPillow.com/King Dude. Now, I didn't hear about that. Okay, I'm going to play something for you cats. And by the way, Crusader Stadium chat room is open at crusadechannel.com/chat. Play digital media file number. Which one does the best explanation of the digital health ecosystem?
Number 3.
Okay, number 3. So there's a video on how the new AI healthcare tech ecosystem will work.
I don't like it.
I did not hear about this, and I didn't know that this was in the works. So I know as much about this as you do.
Imagine scanning a QR code at your doctor's office and instantly sharing your medical history, just like when you board a flight. Imagine having an AI assistant that knows your care plan and helps you manage medications with confidence. Picture patients truly at the center of their care, building stronger relationships with providers who can focus on healing instead of on paperwork, freed from the administrative burden that technology should have solved years ago. That's not science fiction. That's what healthcare can and should look like. We're finally at a moment where real progress is possible. CMS, under Administrator Oz's leadership, understands both the urgency and the opportunity. CMS is building the core infrastructure, a national healthcare directory, secure data access, and modernized systems. But the future of healthcare technology can't come only from the government. The apps, services, and tools that make this data useful in people's lives must come from you, the private sector. We're creating the space for new ideas to rise so better solutions can compete, scale, and help real people like Morgan. Step into this space with us. This isn't just a showcase, it's a national sign of acceleration. It's about action. We're asking real companies to make real commitments, to build data sharing networks, to create apps that deliver real health outcomes, to help us kill the clipboard and give people a healthcare system that's smart and secure. Let's stop waiting and let's definitely stop faxing. Let's start building. The right data at the right time can mean the difference between loss and hope. The time is now. Are you in?
No.
That's what I said.
Hang on, let me think about that. About no. Well, I don't know. Okay. There's this big brother top down. No, that's not what I got out of it. I got that, well, we're asking companies to do this. We're asking you to participate in it. This would be kind of like saying that to me, and I'm speaking to about 5 of you that are about to dash into the chat room and proclaim the end of humanity as we know it. I told you there were Khazarians there, and they've taken over. This would be like you going after John Fitzgerald Kennedy for the President's Physical Fitness Award Committee. And then the President's Physical Fitness Award. This was Big Brother that was in my school when I was at Locheerins, and seventh? When did I get my first? It would have been eighth grade. Eighth grade. Was it? Yeah, eighth grade. So I got my first President's Physical Fitness Award. My mother still has these in a scrapbook somewhere. My first President's Physical Fitness Award was in, let's see here, there's eighth grade, hunker letter, 1975. Got one in ninth grade, got one in 10th grade. I don't know, maybe I got one in seventh grade. Maybe I did start in seventh grade. You know what? I think we started in sixth. In any event, so then this was Big Brother invading all of these school systems and force-feeding, heaven forfend, children with an incentive to... Here's what was in the President's Physical Fitness Award program that you had, and there were standards that you had to meet. This was no T-ball game. You actually had to do this. Pull-ups, skipping rope. You had to do pull-ups. I don't want to say that for my age, it was either 12 or 15. You had to skip rope. I think you had to do 160 seconds. Or maybe it was 60 and 100 seconds. I don't remember. You had to do sit-ups, and I can't remember how many sit-ups, but it doesn't seem that it was that many. And we didn't get the chance to do the sissy sit-ups with your knees up off the ground. You had to do the real sit-ups with your legs out prone. Far more difficult. There was the running. You had to do the 600-yard dash. I want to say you had to do 600 yards in a minute and 40 or whatever it was. You had to do the 50-yard dash in under 7 seconds, I think. And then you had to do this thing called a shuttle run, where it was 10 yards. And they put 2 blocks, wooden blocks down at the end of the 10 yards. And you had to run down there, grab the first block, put it back on, run back to the other line, and drop it, and then go back to the first line, grab the second block, and then you just sprint off. And I think you had to do that in 10 seconds or so. It was fun. I remember we worked all school year long because they had the competition in like spring. And you only got maybe 1, maybe 2 shots at it. And then if you made it, they give you a really cool. Did you ever do it? You got a really cool embroidered patch, and it had the presidential seal on, and it said recipient President's Physical Fitness Award, and they gave you a little certificate, and I'm sure an auto pen was used because President Ford and Carter signed mine. But at any event. Just the broad general demonization where it's come from government, so it's evil and we should kill it. I understand the urge, but that's not what I heard of it. But I'm just kind of, I guess they think this is a technological leap here. Same thing with Kennedy a couple of weeks ago saying, I see a day in America where everyone has a health watch. What did he call it? He called it a fitness watch or a fitness device? For those of you that don't know, there's mine. It's not an Apple Watch. It is what's the company? The Glory Fit, right? Mm-hmm. It costs about 1/3 of what an Apple Watch costs. Probably made in China. It's certainly not made by the 2A watch company. But I have one. I don't use it every day, but I do look at my steps and stuff here. I'm not one of those that uploads all my data so the world can see it. You can opt out of that. I don't share the watch, but I do use the watch. So everyone says, you've got a fitness watch, you Hitler! You're living in the 21st century. There's a lot of things we want to walk backwards on. I don't think having a fitness watch is one of those things, or it makes you an enemy of the people. Well, they're going to take your heart rate, and they're going to do what with it? They're going to use your heart rate against you. You're not going to be able to get a Big Mac because your watch says that you're fat. Well, you don't need my watch to say that I'm fat. You can just ask me, and I'll tell you that I'm fat. So in any event, he announced this yesterday at this forum that they had. I will tell you And you know, there have been a myriad of things, steps that have been taken. I caught the barb against the fax machine. There are still doctors out there filing Medicaid and Medicare, or primarily Medicare claims that are using fax machines. Of course, they have electronic versions of them now. Pretty much the same thing. So I understand that if you're going to try and modernize this, well, then you modernize it. I didn't think that this was the great soundbite that everyone else thinks it is. Where's RFK Jr.?
It was after.
Oh, he's afterward. Okay. This is the one that I thought, and we can play the Trump one just for poops and giggles. This is what I thought, though, because I look at the bigger, broader picture of things, and I know many of you find this about as thrilling as watching paint dry, and I think that's part of the problem. Few people look at buildings and architecture today and go like, yeah, that Bauhaus crap is ugly. Most people instead, squirrel, did you see that? There's a hot dog stand over there. We're surrounded by things that are supposed to lift our spirits, our souls, and our eyes to heaven. If you're going to build tall buildings, build them beautiful. So that when your eyes are cast upward, you are not greeted with ugliness. So I actually think that it's a good thing that people like RFK Jr. will say something like this.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And I just want to begin by making a comment that is irrelevant to what we're gathered here today to talk about. But I've been coming to this building for 65 years, and I have to say that it's never looked better. I've spent some time in the Oval Office, which
Trump's going. Yeah, it
really
does. It does.
It's been transformed, and I was looking at a picture of the Oval Office the other day when I was there when I was a kid with my uncle, and you know it was extraordinary. It's always extraordinary to go into that sacred space. But I have to say that it looked kind of drab in the pictures. And they're black and white pictures, but it looked drab. And it looks the opposite of drab today. And I think, I know all these portraits, I hope you get a chance to look at them when you go out there, that they were handpicked by the president. And many of them hijacked from other agencies that were trying to keep them. But I mean, you know, my uncle, my aunt, Jackie, who were deeply committed to design, to beauty, and who understood that it's important to have our public buildings be beautiful because it inspires us, it elevates the human spirit. It's one of the, it is a template and it's an exemplar for democracy, the releasing through freedoms of the creativity of the human spirit. And this building, of all buildings, should look beautiful. And under your stewardship, it looks extraordinary today. So thank you, Mr. President, for that.
He was talking about Trump stealing the grandfather clock from Marco Rubio at the State Department. And I don't know how you arrived at this. I also caught the line about, he didn't say sacred government, he said sacred space. I don't know how what goes on in the Oval or the Oral Office is a sacred space. I'd have to ask Secretary Kennedy. Maybe I'll get the chance to interview him someday. What did you mean when you call the Oval Office a sacred space? Do they have Mass in there and I'm not aware of it? Is there an adoration chapel in there? Has the priest gone in there? And by the way, a priest told me this once. If your home has been blessed and you haven't desecrated it, that's a sacred space. Now, you're not holding, or the Blessed Sacrament is probably not reposing under the KitchenAid in your kitchen. So it's a different kind of sacred. But why do you, for all of you people that are losing your marbles over the sacred comment, well, let me ask you a question. Why do you, if you have a holy water font, by your front door, and every time you go in and out, if you stick your fingers in it and to the holy water and then bless yourself, why are you doing that? To make yourself ugly? Come on, TKD. To make yourself evil? Come on, TKD. To do what? Why did you bless yourself just now? Are you superstitious? It's just like, tying double knots in your sneakers before you go out and play a football game, and if you forget to do it, you're going to lose. You don't want to jinx yourself. Why do you bless yourself with the holy water? To make yourself sacred. You're trying to make yourself holy at that moment, which is why you don't commit mortal sin. Just thought I'd pass it on. All right. I got to take the time out. When we come back, we are going to do the Mearsheimer clips from Tucker Carlson, and we're going to talk about the genocide in Gaza because it has to be talked about. And I'm sure this audience is well aware of it, but maybe not the finer details.
Now in our 9th year, Crusade Channel News is simply the best daily newscast on all of radio that informs and inspires the Crusader Nation. Catch it at 6, 8, 11, and 1 p.m. on the Crusade Radio Network, our app, and always on CrusadeChannel.com. Everybody loves a good trilogy. The Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, and now the King Dude Seasoning Trilogy. There's Beast and Butt Rub, Acadiana Steak, and the brand new Chicken Mamu Seasoning, a lemon herb-based rub that's won trophies in barbecue chicken cook-offs. Now, we've bundled all 3 spices together, and you can get them for one low price for less than it costs to rent a movie trilogy. And the King Dude offers you his personal money-back guaranteed of your taste buds' complete satisfaction. Order a King Dude Seasoning Trilogy today at shop.mychurch.com.
Have you ever dreamed of being like Brian Kay or Mitter Monday and being a free Farm Friday star? But you have no shot at it because you can't tell the difference between a U and a Y-O-U. Well, lucky for you, we have an entire bookstore filled with the books you need to become so passionate for farming, you'll soon be wearing a Brian Kay Calls Me for Advice t-shirt. So learn to grow by growing your library with books by shopping at shop.mikechurch.com.
Do you hear that, Maggie?
Do I hear what?
You don't hear the sound of bees buzzing about?
No, I see the result of that buzzing about in these beautiful new beeswax candles.
We sell candles now?
Not just any candles. These are handmade beeswax candles.
Well, that explains me imagining bees.
And they come in different sizes. There's a votive, a 3-day, and a 7-day size too.
Well, that should start a buzz in the store.
It better, or you'll get the buzz.
Order handmade beeswax candles today while supplies last at shop.mikechurch.com.
Back in the heyday of broadcast TV, NBC called its Thursday night lineup must-see TV. That was then, and this is now. And the only must-see TV is The Mike Church Show, now simulcast live on Roku, YouTube, and Rumble. But if you miss an hour or a day, you can watch that entire show whenever you want when you become a Premium Founders Pass member. Sign up today and access my 2,000-plus podcast. So many, I can't even get my mom to say that she listened. Go premium today at crusadechannel.com/offer.
When most people hear the word coffee, they conjure up visions of a ceramic mug in the palm of both hands and a woman slowly sipping. This isn't a Folgers commercial. It's for cappuccino holy roast, and here's how I take mine. With a dash of vanilla, a pinch of cinnamon, a spoonful of honey, and lots of heavy cream. Add some ice, shake, and then enjoy, while knowing that's $6 the libs at Starbucks can't spend to ruin my life and yours.
Cappuccino Holy Roast in whole bean or grind is available at shop.mychurch.com. Now in our 9th year, Crusade Channel News is simply the best daily newscast on all of radio that informs and inspires the Crusader Nation. Catch it at 6, 8, 11, and 1 p.m. on the Crusade Radio Network, our app, and always on CrusadeChannel.com. To be a deacon in his church, you gotta swear.
Well, 'cause my is the big fat is the biggest in the whole wide world.
Instagram rap influencers are gonna love my church. The King Dude rules and influences the airways on the Crusade Radio Network.
Won't you come see about me? I'll be alone, dancing, you know it, baby. Tell me inside and out and
no strange. How you doing?
think of the tender things that we were working on. Slow change may pull us apart.
I can't give Mitter Monday credit for this one.
Get in your heart, baby. Don't you forget about me. Don't you
Proven 100% effective in treating the civilization-killing symptoms of low testosterone. The High T Mike Church Show's on the Crusade channel here on a Thursday. This portion of the program brought to you by the Founders Pass membership service. I want to thank, just throw a name out. We heard yesterday from Miss Cindy, who re-signed up as a Founders Pass member. Wanted to make sure that she was a paying member once again. So we're a little south then of 37% of all people that think that they're Founders Pass members today are not paying or have not paid. That includes, and I'm just looking at a couple names here in the chat room, there is a handful of you in the chat room that I can tell you right now, you're not paying. You may think that you are, you're not. And I'm not going to say who you are, but I pleaded and begged, go and log in. All you need to do, and if you think you're paying by PayPal, well, then don't take my word for it. Go to your PayPal and look and see when's the last time you sent the Crusade channel a payment. And you will... My suggestion is to ditch PayPal and to use a credit card and to do it that way. If you want to send a check, that's fine. But seriously, folks, this is existential. We don't get people updated. There's not going to be a Crusade channel or a Crusade radio network or a Mike Church show and all the other shows broadcast with the frequency and quality and then available and easy to access as you have become accustomed to. So take it seriously. And it needs to be done 3 weeks ago when we started mentioning it. Go to crusadechannel.com today and log in. Then click subscriptions up in the menu or on your phone, same tab. And then my account, and my account has all your details. And it does have billing details. If you click on that, it'll show you what your card. I can't see your card, but you can. Now, if you have trouble updating your card because you're generally going like, oh man, King Dude, I didn't know I was in arrears. Update your card. We're all good to go. And if you've been out for a year or two, make a donation. You can make a donation in any kind, any day you want to. crusadechannel.com/donate. And I gave this little spiel yesterday, but I think it just bears repeating. I don't go to Sheldon Adelson and big donors with my nonprofit and say, load me up with $1 million and I'll do what you want. I will change what my news and what the Mike Church Show sounds like, and I won't gore this particular sacred ox. I'll become a member of your team. I would never do that. I don't do that. Just as when someone sends me, well, King Dude, I signed up and you have to listen to me. I will listen to you, but I'm going to rely on what I believe are Christian comedian ethics and broadcasting to guide what I do here. So we don't have big money donors. Biggest money donor around this joint is every once in a while someone will bless us with $1,000 or maybe a $5,000 donation. It happens every now and then. We're happy to get $10. But understand that the reason this entity exists is because of you. And if you stop funding it and subscribing to it and donating to it, it will wither on the vine and go away. So, if that's God's plan, well, then so be it. I don't want it to be that way, but it's completely reliant upon you. And if you're listening or watching right now going like, I don't have to pay for any of my other cool shows on whatever service, you're paying for them just through another means. You don't know it. And you're not getting the unfiltered, unvarnished commitment to the truth either. I will assure you of that. So help us out. You know, we would love to have a stable 20 hours a day of live programming. Can't do it without growing that membership. Can't even keep the current without maintaining the membership. So update your card today. Maggie updated a couple of people yesterday. You can send her a message in the chat room, which most of you have been alienated from and can't find on a map with a search warrant these days. It's hiding in plain sight, crusadechannel.com/chat. Send us an email if you can't do it that way. I am King Dude at protonmail.com. She is sales@mikechurch.com. Or use the contact form on the website at crusadechannel.com. I put together episodes 1 and 2 of a new show that's going to debut next week that I think is just phenomenal, and no one's going to see it coming, completely and totally out of left field, and you're all going to love it. But I'm not going to play it for you if you're not a Founders Pass member the week that it debuts. So, and you're going to find that it's cool too. So get updated today. All right, and thank you in advance to all of you. Again, I try not to single anyone out and knock them, but I've seen people protesting mightily. I'm up to date. No, you're not. No, you're not. I looked. Check yourself. Let's go to the sound bites. Let's do. All right. I've been yapping about this all day. Want to do the Dunkin' Donuts? Oh, wait. Hold on. Wait a minute. For all the people that are losing their mind on the new Third Reich from American Eagle Outfitters and Sidney Sweeney, Hitler's new love child that he didn't even know that he had, Dunkin' Donuts. You know what I like about Dunkin' Donuts? Dunkin' Donuts is kind of like Dr. Pepper. They just don't care. And Dunkin' pretty much has remained Dunkin'. Wasn't it Dunkin' Donuts that went like, yeah, we don't have any rainbow stuff to hand out this June? If you want rainbow stuff, go down. There's a guy down the street that'll sell you all the rainbow donuts you want. Here is Dunkin' Donuts' version of the "It's in the Genes" advertisement.
Look, I didn't ask to be the king of summer. It just kind of happened. This tan? Genetics. I just got my color analysis back. Guess what? Golden summer. Literally. I can't help it. Every time I drink a Dunkin' Golden Hour refresher, it's like the sun just finds me. So if sipping these refreshers makes me the king of summer, guilty as charged.
Oh, come on. As someone that has been in media for 34 years, and before that was an admirer and an aficionado, I'm one of these people that was actually watching that Super Bowl. I don't remember who played in 1984 when the Apple ad debuted that Ridley Scott directed with the chick running through the hall of all the brain-dead zombies and their bald-shaved heads. And the giant guy, we will cleanse the world of the pests of innovation. We shall prevail. Still, many people say the greatest TV ad that was ever filmed. So I like TV advertisement. I realize what it is they're trying to do. They're trying to sell you something you don't need. My survival does not depend on Dunkin' Donuts summer. What has he got? A golden summer refresher?
Golden Hour Dunkin' Refresher.
Golden Hour Dunkin' Refresher. And I don't know what's in it, but I might like to try one.
It looks delicious.
It's genetics. People are going to we're going to boycott all of this stuff. Go ahead. Some left-tard woman was bitching outside of an American Eagle store yesterday because she was colored. Yeah, well, no one's going to go in your store and buy anything. Yeah, because they all stand in solidarity with us, Nazi. Another woman goes like, oh, I think I just filmed you. I'm going to go inside and look. She goes, I went to the whole store. The only thing that they have in jeans is a size 2. Sold out of everything. I just think it's funny, and I think that we all have lost something of a sense of humor. One more note, or just point about the clip that we played last segment about the new AI healthcare network and all that stuff. I'm not saying that that it won't be used for nefarious purposes. Now, and I remain fully convinced that the enemy would love to have a one world citizen data system. And if they get one in the United States, they'll put them one step closer, that we need to have a one world or one union data system. Wherever I go, my medical data can be shared and this and that and the other. It is not that far of a hop, skip, and jump now to have the same QR code that Trump was talking about yesterday that you could scan and you go like, oh, here is, if he will authorize you to have it, here is his doctor's contact info. You can now contact them through this, right? Through this app or whatever, and request Maggie's medical records because you've got something going on. The idea here, though, that everyone's medical records ought to be posted in a central location, you're just not going to get people to agree to that. And with good reason. You know, having things that are sitting in one central location, and then a lot of people are going to rely upon it. Number one is impractical, and number two, I think it's just stupid. If there is such a thing as a pinch bomb or an electromagnetic pulse that could wipe all that out, well, imagine wiping everyone's records out all at the same time. And if you don't want to wear a fit watch and transmit your data up, then you shouldn't do it. Then don't wear one. And no one should ever tell you that you have to wear one. So please don't misunderstand to think that I'm like the new radio spokesman for the AI health industry. I'm not, and I'm not going to participate in it. And I would encourage anyone else to not participate in it. I was just looking at, or do I hear and see the evil and nefarious intentions? I didn't, but that doesn't mean that bad people won't use good people to bring about their end. And again, the bad guys can scheme all they want. They don't always get their way. Everyone thinks because bad people scheme to do bad things that they're ultimately going to win at the end of the day. Sometimes the good guys win. And then maybe sometimes you ought to be like, well, you know what? Bad things happen to good people, and I'm going to chalk that up and just offer it up. So, just wanted to clarify that on the AI Health Center nonsense. He's going to get major pushback on all this. There are going to be many people that are going to go like, no, that's not why I elected you. I did not elect you to centralize intelligence about my health and put it into an AI data center that whoever that clown, who is the guy? Larry Ellison, that Larry Ellison and his goons have access to. Sorry, wrong answer. And it's the right, what I just said is the right answer. And if you think that, that's the right answer. Play John Mearsheimer. I want people to hear this interview with Tucker Carlson and John Mearsheimer about what is actually going on between the Ukrainians and the Russians. And again, Trump is playing with fire by thinking that he can make Putin do what he wants him to do. He's an alpha male. He ought to know that he's in the ring with another one, and the harder you push, the more likely the alpha male, even if it's good for his country, is going to go, nyet. So here's Mearsheimer. So the first clip is update on the Ukraine-Russia war.
The Russians are winning the war, and there's no way that Ukraine can rescue the situation. If you look at the balance of power in terms of weaponry and in terms of manpower, the number of soldiers that each side has, the Ukrainians are in a hopeless situation. And furthermore, they're heavily dependent on the West for support. And President Trump has made it clear that he's not going to refill the Biden pipeline once all the weaponry in that pipeline runs out. So the Ukrainians are doomed. And if you look at what's happening on the battlefield, it's quite clear that the Ukrainians understand that. Their defenses are slowly but steadily collapsing. Now, one might say, well, can't we get a negotiated settlement? Can't we bring this war to an end? And the fact is that neither the Ukrainians nor the West, and here we're talking mainly about the Europeans, is willing to cut a deal that's acceptable to the Russians. So there's no way you're going to have a diplomatic settlement to this war. It's going to be settled on the battlefield, and the Russians are going to win an ugly victory, and you're going to have a frozen conflict.
He could have interviewed Mike Church, and I would have told him the same thing, that it's very unlikely that the Russian Federation is going to stand down. It's not going to tell the Ukrainians that they're right, because they're not. They're not. Any student of history who knows anything about ancient Russia and that entire area, and I wish I knew what the ancient name for it was. It's not the Caucasus, but it does have a name. Knows that those areas that are in dispute are Russian, and they always have been. Hell, you could say Ukraine once upon a time was Russian, leaning Russian. So I think that Mearsheimer's right, and this is what other people have been saying, that when the Western money and armaments run out, the Ukrainians are going to lose. They're already losing. It's the Ukrainians that need to be encouraged to say, okay, you can have the Donbass back. Now, please stop shooting at us. Can we agree on that? All right. We're not going to contest Sevastopol, Mariupol, Luhansk, Crimea, and all the other, Zaporizhzhia. We're not going to contest them any longer. They're Russian. Fine, Vlad, take them back. And if they want to join the Russian Federation, they can. Or if they want to be independent and say that they're allies of the Russian Federation, they can do that too. We're good with that. Digital Media File number 2, same interview. Genocide in Gaza. Is there a genocide going on in Gaza? Yes, there is. Who's responsible for it? The Israelis. Why is the United States backing it? Because we're stupid. And we still have leaders, even though President Trump is in there, that are listening to the bad guys. Here again, it's always good to hear someone else's take on this. Mearsheimer's been at this for a long time. Watch.
And this is in large part because of Israel. And this is just a strategic dimension. We're not even talking about the moral dimension. I mean, the Israelis are executing a genocide in Gaza, and we are complicitous in that genocide.
When you say it's a genocide, what do you mean?
Well, if you look at what the definition of a genocide is, right, it's where one country tries to destroy either all or a substantial portion of another group, another ethnic or religious or national group, for the purposes of basically destroying that group identity. That's what you're talking about here. I think that that's the definition of genocide. It's laid out in the 1948 convention. I think that what the Israelis are doing fits that description. And lots of people and organizations agree with me on that point. It's very important to understand here that just killing large numbers of Palestinians is not necessarily genocide. I mean, the United States, when it firebombed Japan in World War II, killed many more Japanese than the Israelis have killed Palestinians in Gaza. There's no question about that. But no one would ever accuse the United States of executing a genocide against Japan. The United States was killing large numbers of Japanese civilians. And by the way, we killed large numbers of German civilians as well.
Millions.
Yeah. For purposes of ending the war. We wanted to end the war. And if you look at how we treated the Japanese and how we treated the Germans once the war ended, it was very clear that we were not bent on genocide. This is not to excuse what we did against Japan and Germany.
Thank you.
And I do believe we murdered, I would use the word murdered, large numbers or millions of Japanese and Germans together. But in the case of what's going on in Gaza, right, what's happening here is that the Israelis are systematically trying to destroy the Palestinians as a national group, right? They're targeting them as Palestinians, and they're trying to destroy Palestinian national identity in addition to murdering huge numbers of Palestinians.
And
sounds like a genocide to me. Note he went all the way back to the 1948 compact or the agreement or whatever to establish the state of Israel. You know, this began around the turn of the 20th century here. This has not progressed in a positive manner. And it is not progressing in a positive manner unless you think that, okay, what if the Arabians... The irony to me is you're an anti-Semite. Sem means you came from Shem, Noah's son. You're a Semite. Question, did the Persians come from Noah's son, Shem? Yep. Did the Arabs come from Noah's son, Shem? Yep. So what about the Jews? Most of them, many of them. So then you're anti-Arab, or you want to kill Arabs, that would make you an anti-Semite, pretty much. So again, the Anti-Defamation League has destroyed the use of the word, and it is a powerful word and term to use, anti-Semite, because it has confused that a Semite is a religion. A Semite is not a religion. You know, I always say, do not take my word for this. Take Brother Andre Marie's word for it. You can go listen to episode 111 on 112 of Reconquest. Go listen to the last 3 episodes, the interviews with John Sharp, Commander John Sharp, on Just War, and probably half a dozen or so in the last year or so. And if you want to have it explained to you what a Semite is, you can listen to my interview with Brother Andre. It's on YouTube. Now, play the next one. What is the Israeli goal? Why are they doing this? This is where I think that most people fall short. Okay, well, men always do things for reasons, and ostensible in the mind even of an evil man. He thinks he's doing something to bring about a good. No, he's warped, and he's demonically possessed, and the demon has convinced him that it's a good. But why are the Israelis doing this? Well, this is Mearsheimer's explanation.
My view on this is that the Israelis have long been interested in expelling the Palestinian population from Greater Israel. If you look at Greater Israel, this includes the Israel that was created in 1948 and the occupied territories. This is the West Bank.
Post-67.
Post-67, West Bank and Gaza. So West Bank, Gaza, and what we call Green Line Israel. That's Greater Israel. Inside Greater Israel, there are about 7.3 million Jews and about 7.3 million Palestinians. And from the get-go, going back to the early days of Zionism and the views of people like David Ben-Gurion, they believed that you needed a Jewish state that was about 80% Jewish and 20% Palestinian. In an ideal world, you would get rid of all the Palestinians. But
an ideal world
alternative is 80-20. But you actually have a situation in Greater Israel where you have 50-50. So October 7th happens, and what the Israelis see is an excellent opportunity for ethnic cleansing. And they make this clear. In other words, it's an excellent opportunity to go to war in Gaza and drive the Palestinians out of Gaza and solve that demographic problem that they face.
This won't be news to some of you, and to others of you, it will be completely and totally shocking news, and that's because you have been fed a Zionist line of BS. And you have been lied to. There's much more on this, and we'll talk about it when we come back. Hour 3 is next. You can update your credit card during the break.
You may not believe it, but Bram Stoker's Dracula may be a work of nonfiction. Hear it and other amazing tales on Turley's Believe It or Else, Tuesdays at 9 a.m. Central on the Crusade Radio Network, our app, and always on CrusadeChannel.com.
wristwatch originates from the Old English word watcha, meaning watchfulness, and was initially used to describe keeping a lookout or being alert. Well, I know two guys who keep a lookout for the highest quality watch movements, bands, and then apply their own love for liberty and the Second Amendment to the design of the faces, and bammo, you have the 2A Liberty Watch Company. My friends George and Josh design watches that are sharp, functional, and inspire. I wear my 2A 4547 POTUS watch every day, and you'll love yours too. Shop their entire line today at 2awatchcompany.com. Use the code CHURCH for 10% off at 2awatchcompany.com. So what does the 3 F's and Free Farm Friday stand for? Well, I just told you. But did you know the why of the return to the land that Free Farm Friday is all about is explained so well in book form that even landlocked public transportation writing lives, if they knew about it, would be seeing some green acres. So check out.
You're listening to the Crusade Channel, a Black Hat Studios media property, broadcasting live 24/7 from Madisonville, Louisiana, and to the world via crusadechannel.com.
From the Crusade Channel News Desk, here's Janet Huxley.
Hello, Crusaders. Welcome to Thursday, July 31st, 2025. I'm Janet Huxley, reporting for the Crusade Radio Network News Desk, live from the Dothan Farm and Ranch, south of Kansas City, Missouri. Today's newscast is brought to you by Capuchin Holy Roast Coffee, a blend personally crafted by Mike Church, made from South American and Africa's finest gourmet coffee beans, and roasted to perfection. Available in whole bean or ground. Pick up a bag or 6 today at shop.mikechurch.com. Here's what to listen for this hour. Trump announces trade deal with South Korea. Virginia City Councilman doused with gasoline and set on fire. Louisiana Medicaid millionaire bought Lamborghini while claiming government benefits for years. And is interstellar object the size of Manhattan an alien probe? President Donald Trump announced on July the 30th that the United States had reached a trade agreement with South Korea. The country will impose a 15% tariff on South Korean goods, while U.S. goods won't be subject to South Korean tariffs. Under the agreement, South Korea will invest $350 billion in assets owned and controlled by the U.S., with specifics to be selected by Trump himself. In addition, the Southeast Asian country will purchase $100 billion worth of liquefied natural gas or other energy products from the U.S. A Virginia City Council member was rushed to a burn unit after a man poured gasoline on him and set him on fire inside his workplace on Wednesday. Danville City Council member Lee Vogler, 39, was working in the Showcase magazine office about 11 a.m. local time when a guy by the name of Shotzi Michael Buck Hayes, a 29-year-old also of Danville, allegedly forced his way into the building carrying a 5-gallon bucket of gasoline. Police said Hayes poured the gasoline on Vogler as he tried to run out of the office building and then lit him on fire. His condition is unknown. The Department of Justice unveiled charges against 300 defendants this month, alleging they misled patients into paying for and sometimes receiving medical care they did not need in a $14.6 billion healthcare fraud scheme. Yesterday, we learned a Louisiana woman purchased a Lamborghini while fraudulently obtaining Medicaid benefits. 35-year-old Candace Taylor of Slidell is now facing fraud charges. Authorities said this week she's been dubbed the Medicaid millionaire by the Office of Louisiana Attorney General Liz Murrill. She was arrested on Monday. Our quote of the day: "No one heals himself by wounding another." St. Ambrose. Coming up, our saint of the day. You're listening to Crusade Radio Network News.
When most people hear the word coffee, they conjure up visions of a ceramic mug in the palm of both hands and a woman slowly sipping. This isn't a Folgers commercial. It's for Capuchin Holy Roast, and here's how I take mine. With a dash of vanilla, a pinch of cinnamon, a spoonful of honey, and lots of heavy cream. Add some ice, shake, and then enjoy, while knowing that's $6 the libs at Starbucks can't spend to ruin my life and yours.
Capuchin Holy Roast in whole bean or grind is available at shop.mychurch.com. Attempts to make America great again will be there for you with the best with live coverage and commentary in media on the Crusade Radio Network, our app, and always on crusadechannel.com.
Loyola. The founder of the Jesuits was on his way to military fame and fortune when a cannonball shattered his leg. He spent his healing time reading A Life of Christ and Lives of the Saints, and his conscience was deeply touched. A long, painful turning to Christ began. He saw the Mother of God in a vision, made a pilgrimage to her shrine at Montserrat near Barcelona, and remained almost a year at nearby Manresa, sometimes with the Dominicans, sometimes in a pauper's hospice, and often in a cave in the hills praying. After a period of great peace of mind, he went through harrowing trials, and there was no comfort in anything, prayer, fasting, sacraments, or penance. At length, his peace of mind returned, and it was during this year of conversion he began to write material that became his greatest work, the Spiritual Exercises. In 1534, at the age of 43, he and others, one of whom was St. Francis Xavier, vowed to live in poverty and chastity and to go to the Holy Land. His new Society of Jesus was approved by Pope Paul III, and Ignatius was elected to serve as the first general. He was a true mystic. He centered his spiritual life on the essential foundations of Christianity, the Trinity, Christ, and the Eucharist. We remember St. Ignatius of Loyola today. The newly discovered Manhattan-sized interstellar object zooming through our solar system has been identified as a comet. But two Harvard scientists say there's really reason to believe it's an alien probe. NASA discovered 31/Atlas on July the 1st, speeding through the inner solar system at about 140,000 miles per hour, according to observations from a telescope in Chile. And Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb suggested in a new paper that the object, only the third interstellar object ever detected, could really be intelligently directed alien craft observing Earth with possibly hostile intentions. I'm Janet Huxley for the Crusade Radio Network, seeking news and finding truth.
Best daily news all of radio that informs and inspires the Crusader Nation. Catch it at 6, 8, 11, and 1 p.m. on the Crusade Radio Network, our app, and always on crusadechannel.com.
Hey, Mrs. McGillicuddy, don't be a satellite radio snob and pass by the Mike Church Show. Come on in and browse.
May I help you?
Oh, no thanks, just browsing.
How long do you intend to browse?
Well, that lady there, you didn't ask her how long she intends to browse. How come you're asking us how long we intend to browse?
You don't look like browsers.
Now that that's over,
How about a Fresca?
the Mike Church Show, entertaining browsers and fans since 1992 on the Veritas Radio Networks. Crusade.
Tough, and then the tough got going. Here on the Crusade Channel and the Mike Church Show, the longest running long-form continual radio program on air anywhere in the world, 34 years young. We have been off the air in 34 years, a total of less than 6 months. No one else can make that claim, folks. Happy and glad to do it, and excited for the it's always great to add new things. You know, when you stop trying to kind of reinvent yourself, if you will, as these times change, but retain your credentials and your ethics and your principles and your point of view. But we're just going to present Crusade Channel in a new way, at Crusade Channel 4.0. I'm going to give you I can't tell you this because it's not done yet. It's being worked on. And if I say it, then I'm going to jinx it, and it's not going to happen Monday. But I will tell you that one of the vast improvements that is coming your way when you are listening to the Crusade Channel on the app or whatever app it is you use to grab it, or even grabbing a podcast after the fact, or a podcast through a post, that one of the major improvements is to that service. And it has perplexed me for many years, and I've asked many people to, well, dude, how do you think we can do this? And I've gotten all manner of answers, and none of them work. And the reason they don't work is because of the way the World Wide Web decided it was going to relay audio. And there were a couple of protocols. I know this is nerd stuff, but I find it fascinating. There were a couple of systems and benchmarks, if you will, that were developed to make it simple so that people would find it easier to stream radio or audio to larger audiences, and they could all listen to it at the same time. So one of the systems, if you will, was called Shoutcast. Its little brother, which was a spinoff of it, is called Icecast. Shoutcast and Icecast are fantastic. They do a great job, transmit audio nearly flawlessly. But there is one thing that they don't do, and they were not designed to do. And so they baked it into the programming, and the only way that you can correct, and this isn't their fault, because back in the 90s when they were working on this stuff, and I say, well, maybe we ought to have an internet streaming protocol, they could not have foreseen what would happen, and like what's happening today. I hope to have that problem solved for all of you to many of your delight, and you will see it on Monday and hear it on Monday. But don't... If I show up on Monday in a dour mood, you'll know why. There are many other things that you're going to see on the crusadechannel.com site. But we're not going to make it there if you don't update your membership and make sure that you're a Founders Pass paying member. Again, I hate to harp on it, but I'm the only one that can, and this is the only time that you're actually listening. If you suspect that you haven't paid in years or months, or you're out there listening on YouTube or Rumble or X going like, I'm not going to have to pay, I'm still going to get you. No, you're not. No, you're not. And prior to January or March of a year and a half ago, you couldn't. So, and I want you to listen, and I want you to watch. So go become a Founders Pass member today, or update your membership. crusadechannel.com, and just log into your account. If you want to join, easy to do. crusadechannel.com/join. Can we play the last clip from John Mearsheimer in this wonderful interview with Tucker Carlson? So what is the Israeli goal in Gaza? Genocide, ethnic cleansing. They're done with the old deal and having Palestinians as part of the new Jewish state, is basically. And I think that that is a practical and a realistic way to look at it, because that's what they're doing. But what about Christians in the West who still, I'm not going to mention any names, but I got to look at a friend's video broadcasting studio the other day, and I'm just going to say, I'm not going to tell you what flags I saw in there because it'll give it away. This particular broadcaster had an Israeli flag on a pole right next to the American. this idol worship, and this is complete and total demonic stuff here. This idol worship of that flag and of that geographical area and that nation state is just that. You're only serving the prince of this world. And I could explain to you what the actual Israel is, but it's in the Bible, not like you think it is. You have been lied to and manipulated, and I hope your mind is open to the truth. So I actually haven't heard this Mearsheimer clip, but I'm pretty sure I know what he's going to say. So it's an interview with John Mearsheimer, journalist and historian, and Tucker Carlson. Here you go.
I'm aware. Right. So you're exactly right. So it's not a Jewish lobby for that reason, but also there are the Christian Zionists.
Yes.
Who are a core element of that lobby.
I've noticed.
Christians United for Israel, for example. So that's why we call it the Israel lobby.
And what explains the enthusiasm of Christian groups for policies that kill Christians in the Middle East?
Well, they have this belief that until Israel controls all of greater Israel, right? It gets back all the territory that is rightfully theirs. You won't have the second coming. So they are deeply committed, these Christian Zionists, to supporting Israel's conquests and supporting Israeli expansion for religious reasons.
And are there defined borders that when reached will trigger the second coming?
No.
When we say greater Israel, do we have a clear map in mind of what that will mean, could mean? No.
Whenever you talk about greater Israel, there's hardly ever a real map in mind. I talk about it in terms of the occupied territories plus Green Line Israel. But obviously the Israelis themselves, most Israelis, I think, have a bigger map in mind.
Do we know where that ends? I mean, it doesn't go to Cairo, I assume.
No. I think the Sinai, what they take of Egypt, I think will, if they can, will be the Sinai. And I don't think they would take all of Syria or all of Lebanon, but they would take big chunks of the south of those two countries. But the idea behind the Christian Zionists is that to facilitate the second coming, for religious reasons, we should support Israel. But this does, as you say, cut against the fact that the Israelis oftentimes treat Christians as badly as they do Muslims. There was recently a case where they bombed a Catholic church in northern Gaza, and Trump was infuriated when he heard this, and he called up Netanyahu and told him, this is recently, like within the past 2 weeks, told Netanyahu that he had to apologize. And the Pope even spoke out on this. But even there, the criticism is quite muted because, again, hardly anybody in the West really criticizes Israel in a meaningful way.
It is just a little bit.
Now, the second, only modern American men have the capacity to be that prideful to believe your silly, insignificant actions can move the hand of God to send Christ for the second time. I am absolutely blown away by that when someone says, we got to bring about the second. You don't bring about the second coming, sir. Who the hell do you think you are? You got to, we're going to get the second coming. We got to get this. You're right side, you're right side. I think people should stop and think about this. You think that God is waiting for your puny, insignificant self to do something here on this earth, the force, so that he can release his hand? He doesn't need you. Besides the fact that this is completely and totally heretical. No one should be caught saying this. Your hand in the divine plan is to get yourself and your family, if you're a man, to heaven. That's that is your role. It doesn't have anything to do with second comings or Israel or the state of Israel or it blows my mind. Just the complete and total, just the possession of the knowledge or the perversion of knowledge that somehow God is waiting on you. Unbelievable, but true. Apparently true. You know, Pete Hegseth talking about, we're going to bring about the third temple. I believe in the third temple. You can believe in the third temple all you want, but you don't have anything to do with bringing it about. And Dwight says in the chat room, the hubris of modern man is made. Dude, it is stunning. You know, when Mearsheimer, save that clip. I want that one. Save that clip forevermore. When Mearsheimer says that this is what they are devoted to, so they're devoted to their own pride in their existence, that somehow eternity is contingent upon your existence. No, you got that backwards. God determined that you would exist. Throughout all of time, or what you understand as time, God determined that you exist, that you would exist. You already, because he determined your existence, you already are part of eternity. Your soul lives forever. You have 2 places or 3 places it can reside once you die. It can reside in paradise, it can reside in purgatory, or it can reside in whatever level of hell that he sends you to. Or maybe he just sends you there and then leaves you to the devices of the prince of this world to go like, yeah, you know what? You know what? I think I want you on level 4. I need new help on level 4. It's overflowing down there. Wow, I'm glad I listened to that interview here on the Mike Church on the Crusade Radio Network. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, you know what? We didn't talk about this. I said I was going to do it, and I didn't talk about it. By the by, so how many days are we now removed from Tulsi Gabbard's release of the Obama files? Tomorrow is Friday, so tomorrow makes 2 weeks, right? Or is it 3 weeks? I'm trying to remember what I think it's 3 weeks. 3 weeks from the release of of what it is that Obama and his henchmen did. And as more is released, as the only outlet that you're going to get good reporting on this on is thefederalist.com. They are unabashed and unafraid, and have been since this whole thing started in 2016. Okay, well, that's one headline. Where did I just saw a headline here? Hold on. It's all about Obama. Obama. Exclusive. James Clapper crew threatened whistleblower who refused to sign off on fabricated intel assessment. What you're going to find out here, and now, where did you get the idea that Molly Hemingway says that the Obama people are panicking?
From her.
Where?
On her Twitter feed.
Can you put that in the chat room? No, I'm just curious here. No one has done a better job of covering this stuff, going on 9 years now, than the Federalist Molly Hemingway. Others have been writing about it, but Molly, she wrote a book about it, or at least one chapter of this. And now she is out there saying, look, they may not be showing it and you're not hearing it, but people that are insiders say that Obama is in panic damage control mode because they know that what Tulsi Gabbard, what the DNI has found is so damning that, yeah, Obama is in trouble. And not only is right now they're building the demonic structure that looks, I don't even know what is this thing supposed to be? The Obama Presidential Library. No, it looks like a place you go inside and you sacrifice goats to Baphomet or whatever. Obama's reputation, his legacy, if you will, is going to be destroyed as a result of it if the truth truly comes out. Molly Hemingway, Obama team is acting absolutely terrified about being held accountable for their Russia collusion hoax. And I couldn't be happier about it. Looks like we have an all-hands-on-deck effort to stop people from talking about the explosive revelations being released about what the Russia collusion hoaxers did to harm the United States. Do not take your foot off the gas pedal, truth seekers. And as she's talking about this from David Axelrod 15 hours ago, despite efforts by the POTUS and his minions to rewrite it, the history of Russian interference in the 2016 election and the actions of the intelligence community in response is very clear. Even Marco Rubio once concurred when he was free to do so. Folks, when they start relying on on the opposite side of the aisle person who has the knowledge and was as clean as is said in the asparagus, as clean as white hyssop. Because Marco Rubio, when he analyzed the intel in 2020 and he said, we agree. When that committee said, yes, there was, the Russians did influence, the Russians did this, the Russians did that. Well, Rubio was right then, and he's still right today. What if Rubio was wrong then? What if Rubio did not actually have all the intelligence because Obama's people in the NSA hid it? Obama's people in the FBI hid it. Obama's people in the CIA hid it. So the Senate Intelligence Committee did not get everything. It did not. It got the cooked books. It got the Steele dossier. You know, this stuff just makes my blood boil. Digital media file number 12. John Solomon.
I know President Trump has every right to be frustrated with him. I think President Trump's analysis last week was right. I think my immunity rule might protect him on the original charges. That's what most legal experts tell me, that ruling is so sweeping it will protect Obama for what he did in office. However, Barack Obama can now be summoned before a grand jury. He cannot take the Fifth Amendment because he has immunity from prosecution. He'll have to tell the truth. If he lies as a private citizen about what he did as president, he'll no longer have that immunity. And that is a trap that Obama is sitting potentially facing. And I want to say the irony to that, because on January 5th, 2017, he presided over a meeting in the White House where the FBI had just cleared Mike Flynn of any wrongdoing. And they schemed in that meeting how they might be able to jam up Mike Flynn. And they came up with the idea, we'll lure him into an interview, catch him into a lie, and then prosecute him that way. Barack Obama now is about to face a potential similar situation as the one he created unfairly for Mike Flynn.
So somebody asked me, how are they going to get Obama, huh? He has immunity. He has immunity for acts that he did when he was president. I don't believe that immunity is complete. John Roberts said that's a narrow ruling. That is a narrow ruling. In any event, you're John Solomon going like, oh, well, they could Mike Flynn him. Remember that Bill Clinton did not have immunity from perjuring himself. Why was Bill, I want you people to sometimes I feel like I'm just wasting my time, but I'm going to do it anyway. Why was Bill Clinton summoned in 1996, or maybe it was 1997? Why was he wait a minute, I was in Miami. It was at WIOD. He was summoned in 1998, I want to say. Why was President Clinton summoned and forced to give under oath a deposition? Might have been 97 that he gave the deposition in the Paula Jones sex harassment suit. Why? He was the president. Well, because it was a civil proceeding that involved something that he had done before he was president. So, now here's the operative part. When Bill Clinton walked into that room with his lawyer, and I think it was Bob Bennett's brother, or Bill Bennett's brother, Bob Bennett, Robert Bennett, when he walked into that room with Robert Bennett as his attorney, and they sat down, and Paula Jones's lawyers got to ask him questions. They asked him certain questions, and of course, Bennett sitting right there, we're not going to answer that, blah, 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 or whatever. And the judge that was presiding over the deposition, or the lawyer, was like, no, you have to answer that question. One of the questions that we get the famous answer we still have today is, well, that depends on what your definition of the word is. I think that what it is that, and I say is because I meant when. In that deposition, William Jefferson Blythe, that's his full name, Blythe Clinton lied. He lied. Further depositions and then Paula Jones's lawsuit against him would reveal, beyond any shadow of a doubt, that Clinton lied. Okay, well, why does that matter? Charge Blythe! That's a high crime. He, as an attorney, he had an attorney's license still. He was still under the aegis of the American Bar Association, to say nothing to the fact that he was the chief law enforcement officer in the land, the president. When he lied under oath, he perjured himself. And when he perjured himself, then they could turn the law on. And that's what they did. So why did Gingrich seek impeachment against Clinton? Because he lied, perjured himself. The charge, the high crime and misdemeanor was perjury. That's what it was. And so what John Solomon says is, if Bill Clinton, if Obama goes into that hearing, it doesn't matter if he's president because he's not any longer. If they put him under oath and they ask him something about something that happened when he was president, and he lies about it, and it's determined that he lies, then you get him for perjury. So does Obama tell where all the bodies are buried? Does he? Okay. Look, Big Mike and I, he and I don't want to live out our lives in peace. What do you want to know? You want to know who it was that swung the big one? I don't want to go to the big house, I'll tell you.
Crusaders, I'm Janet Huxley at the Crusade Radio Network News Desk with your Crusade Crucials for Thursday, July 31st, 2025. This report is brought to you by Capuchin Holy Roast Coffee, a blend personally crafted by Mike Church, made from South American and Africa's finest gourmet coffee beans, and roasted to perfection. Available in whole bean or ground. Pick up a bag or 6 today at shop.mikechurch.com. In the market report, the Dow closed down 0.38%, the S&P 0.12%, NASDAQ was up 0.15%. In National Day calendar news, today is National Avocado Day. Avocados target insulin resistance with heart-healthy fats, and they also fight Alzheimer's with omega-3 fatty acids. Another avocado superpower is preventing and repairing damage due to its source of vitamin C, E, and K. And as of 2015, avocado consumption in the United States has doubled since 2005 and quadrupled since 2000. It's also National Chili Dog Day, it's National Raspberry Cake Day, it's Mutt Day, and it's also Intern Day. And our quote of the day, no one heals himself by wounding another, St. Ambrose. And our saint of the day is the founder of the Jesuits, St. Ignatius of Loyola. You're listening to Crusade Radio Network News.
This is a pixel. I'm Groot. Now, if you put a couple of million of these dudes together, you can make a sentence on an LED screen. Put a couple billion of them together, and you can make a whole page. Put 160 billion of them together, and you've got Nina Gaynor's A Garden for Mary children's book. But it doesn't smell like a book. And it'll burn teeny little holes in your kid's teeny little corneas. So is the pixel really their friend? I'm Groot. That's right, Groot. No. But the Founders Trading Post is their friend. And we have actual books with actual kind of kid-smelly pages and pictures, because kids lack in pictures. Plus, our little bookstore has everything the kids' parents expect. I'm Groot. Yep, we got the beast and butt rubs, but nope, there is no Helen Reddy played here.
Pick up a copy of Garden for Mary, plus dozens of other Catholic children's books titles at shop.mikechurch.com.
Hey, Christian Patriots, are you tired of waking up to the same old fake news? Start your morning right with a daily church doctrine written by the King Dude himself. It's the must-have newsletter for truth seekers like you.
That's right, Leah. Every issue brings you the truth and wisdom quote of the day. Plus, 3 can't-miss stories every Christian patriot needs to know. And that's not all. You'll get exclusive deals from the Founders Trading Post you won't find anywhere else.
Sign up for free at mikechurch.com/dude. Wake up, stay informed, and join the movement.
The Daily Church Doctrine. Faith, truth, and patriotism.
If women living near rivers and taking the pill turns the frickin' frogs gay, imagine what happens to men on the same river who don't listen to Mike Church.
The world's largest pronoun-free zone. Mike Church shows on the Crusade Radio Network. Hey, quick programming note. We are on holiday. Not really holiday, but a best of show tomorrow. So when we launch Light the Candle at midnight or 12:01 a.m. Monday morning, Crusade Channel 4.0 or whatever part of it that we get accomplished will be what you'll be hearing. So don't be alarmed tomorrow. We're not sick or anything. It's going to be a long, long weekend because to reboot an entire website and radio station and channel and all that requires such an enormous amount of really drudgery. Dotting I's, crossing T's. Why isn't that working? Well, it's probably in that file. Well, how are you going to find that file? In any event, it's a huge undertaking, and we'll begin. We still have parts of it to assemble, which we'll need all day today, all day tomorrow, most of the day Saturday, and then, after Mass on Sunday, I'm going to have to, we'll be working. But hopefully we'll be fresh and ready for Crusade Channel 4.0 on Monday morning at 6 a.m., and hopefully you will hear, see, and feel the difference. But you will not hear it out of CrusadeChannel.com if you're not logged in as a Founders Pass member. And if you haven't paid, you're going to get cut off in the next 3 days. So please go and update your Founders Pass membership, CrusadeChannel.com. Log into your account, click the subscriptions tab, menu item, and then my account, and then you can check your credit card. And if you have any trouble with that, my sister Melissa is now running the membership service. She's still learning, but she's going to take it over, and she will be happy to help you with your billing, or Maggie will help you with your billing, whatever your issue may be. You can use the contact form on the website to send an email, or send it to me. I'll get you taken care of. I am King Dude at protonmail.com, or use the contact form at crusadechannel.com, or go in the chat room and send Maggie a personal message, and she can take care of that and hook you up. Get you, make sure that you are ready for Monday and 4.0. I was wondering why I heard whacked off. All would lead the Ukraine, or would lead to Putin 12,000, 14,000 Ukraine is dead. I was wondering why I heard Nancy Nazi Pelosi slobbering after 4 martinis on CNN.
She's about to be in trouble.
You know, these people have been doing things with impunity for decades now. Going to Washington has been a symbol of, and not just a symbol of, but also a very real world way to accomplish not just getting by and getting ahead, an obscene amount, and I literally mean a usurious, obscene amount of wealth and power that these people have not earned. You know, it ought to just sober yourself up for a moment and think about the lunatic, the bimbo bartender that is Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, who also doubles as a CIA agent. That's an act. The stupid girl is an act. But let's just go with the stupid girl act for just a moment. She gets to vote on a $6 trillion budget. She gets to vote on where the nuclear weapons are hidden. She gets to vote on which country we bomb next or don't. She gets to vote on all manner of things. Does her experience in the world as whatever she was before, bartender, waitress, go girl, whatever the hell, does this condition a person to go and be voting on these things? And somebody's going to go, yeah, well, what about the person that did? My point when I bring that up is this. They shouldn't be doing any of this. There's a very short list of about 15 things the federal government ought to be doing. It's in the Constitution. And if we had let's just pretend we had a new federal convention. The federal convention of 2026 coming up, January of next year in Kansas. We're going to discuss amendments. Well, no, let's just say we get a whole new Constitution. I would counsel that this thing would be rewritten in several different ways that would prevent what has happened. And at the adjournment of the convention, and you send the amendments out or the new document out to the states that they ratify, they basically are voting themselves out of the current union. This union of states, I heard, I'm going to give you an example. I heard the most amazing thing yesterday. We don't have it on the cuts yet. You don't have to go find it. So people can just take my word for it or don't. I heard Lee Zeldin say yesterday, I saw somebody in the chat room earlier blathering on endlessly about getting the EPA to stop doing something. I agree. Keep blathering. It's blather because you and I are the only people here. But somebody was droning on about, well, why don't the EPA? Well, I know what it is. They struck a rule down yesterday. It was on lawnmowers, right? It was on lawnmowers.
It was to rescind Obama era endangerment findings, regulations that paved the way
Obama, another one of his crimes, his EPA under Henry Flora Waxman or whoever was the director. Who was that witch? In any event, they made a determination. They made a rule. They got sued. I think the SCOTUS actually sided with them, but this is in President Trump's purview. He nuked it. Zeldin told Trump to nuke it, and he nuked it. He nuked it from orbit.
I say we take off and nuke the entire site from orbit. It's the only way to be sure.
It changed carbon dioxide from being the friendly little set of molecules and atoms, a friendly little conglomeration of atoms that you know and love. It changed carbon dioxide from being just a little compound of gas floating around and making life possible on this planet to public enemy number one. So we can now regulate CO2 and weed eaters and lawnmowers and every other Hades-forsaken thing on Earth. Not anymore. I saw Zeldin yesterday. They nuked that rule. That rule is done. They torched it. They didn't amend it. They killed it. And Lee Zeldin said the most amazing thing. And I'm like, this guy should be governor of New York. He said, why should I, as EPA administrator, have the power to order by a simple stroke of my pen and compel 330 million people to stop using something? He goes, under what authority in the Constitution did the former EPA administrator have the power to do that? He goes, I don't have the power to do that. So he goes, but I do have the power to undo it. And they undid it. For all of you to go like, it's 12 o'clock, no one's been arrested. What have they done? Well, they did that. Okay, so why was Pelosi drunk talking on CNN about how you're never going to get me, copper? Play Rick Scott first. Well, you know what? Don't play Scott. Play Trump. Play Trump. Number 7. Or 7 and 8. Or they just run on, so you got to play them. Okay, we'll play 7 first. This is, we could have a Queen of Pain update, but the song is long and there's a lot to get to here, so we'll just roll this.
Thank you, Mr. President. Senator Hawley introduced legislation that would ban members of Congress from owning or trading individual stocks. It extends to the president and vice president. Are you in favor of that legislation?
Well, I like it conceptually. I don't know about it, but I like it conceptually. And, Nancy Pelosi became rich by having inside information. She made a fortune with her husband, and I think that's disgraceful. So in that sense, I'd like it, but I'd have to really see I study these things very carefully, and this just happened. So I'll take a look at it. But conceptually, I like it.
Conceptually, I like it. I have to study this, but now, when he was not president back in 2012, 11, somewhere up in there, I've seen the tweets. I don't have it. You don't have to go looking for it. But when he was Citizen Trump, he was pointing out that Pelosi and others were cashing in tens of millions of stock trades that they could not possibly have knowledge of. The only way you could, especially when you short something, the only way you could possibly have the knowledge that something was going to go bad, was going to need to be shorted, is if you were going to do something legislatively and you told the guys in the market, look, this is going to happen. This is what they got Martha Stewart for. Supposedly, Martha Stewart knew that something was going to go bad and was going to short a stock, and she shorted it. Well, Pelosi and company do it all the time. So play the next one. Should Pelosi be investigated? That's number 8, right?
What I do think is Nancy Pelosi should be investigated because she has the highest return of anybody practically in the history of Wall Street, save a few. How did that happen? It happened by she knows exactly what's going to happen, what's going to be announced. She buys stock, and then the stock goes up after the announcement's made. And she ought to be investigated.
That's just a sour grapes. No, he's actually going after a criminal. Nancy and Paul Pelosi. Now, if you dug into this, you would find this out. The Pelosi's, okay, that's her husband's name, Pelosi. You would find out that the Pelosi family, there have been like 4 families that have governed the state of California since 1960 or so. Most people, if you tell them this, they're shocked, and they go like, that's not true. It is true. It is true. The Pelosi family, Gavin Gruesome Newsom is Nancy Pelosi's nephew. Okay? Pete Wilson was in that. Earl Warren was a member of that family. Governor Jerry Moonbeam Brown was in that number. Gray Davis was in that number. Schwarzenegger by marriage was in that number. This is an aristocracy. And a criminal enterprise at that. It's a criminal aristocracy. Now, what did Nancy Pelosi do? Well, the Pelosi's own, I forget the share that they used to own at Del Monte, the Del Monte Company Corporation, one of the big ags. Why would a member of Congress be investing in a multinational agriculture and food company? Because you get to help write the rules that regulate it. You kill the competition, and you make sure the contracts are awarded to the company you invested in. This is stupid here, silly. Okay. Roll number 9.
So Nancy Pelosi became rich.
Why do you have to read that? We're here to talk about the 60th anniversary of Medicaid. That's what I agreed to come to talk about.
Yeah, but I
and
wanted
what that means in the election.
I wanted to give you a chance just to respond. He accused you of insider trading. What's your response to that?
That's ridiculous. In fact, I very much support the trading of members of Congress. Not that I think anybody's doing anything wrong. If they are prosecuted and they go to jail. But because of the confidence it instills in the American people, don't worry about this. But I have no concern about the obvious investments that had been made over time. I'm not into it. My husband is, but it isn't anything to do with anything insider.
Oh, yeah, it is. And when they turn the table, there's even my son, Michael. He's wise in some things. He likes to play the stock market. He's a trader with his little bit of cash that he has. You know what he uses as his barometer? He follows what's called the Pelosi Index. There's an app. She buys something, you buy it. She sells something, you sell it. And you get notified as soon as she does. So there is that. By the way, the families that have been running California, the Browns, Moonbeam Jerry Brown, his father Edmund Pat Brown, both governors, the Newsoms. His father was close to Jerry Brown, and his uncle was married to Nancy Pelosi's brother-in-law, the Pelosi's. You know about them. And then the Gettys. And, of course, you know all about the Gettys. There have been others. There were, obviously, the Schwarzenegger, but I think there was some tie with with Captain Shriver or something. And then Ronald Wilson Reagan was a governor in there. But pretty much there have been the four families of either governor, lieutenant governor, attorney general, some position of high authority in California. So does the bill go forward as Rick Scott is proposing it? If it does, and they do a Martha Stewart on Nancy Pelosi, does she go to prison? Well, she probably doesn't. But did she commit the same crime? Again, I just go back to Martha Stewart, that they accused Martha Stewart of doing. Well, yeah, of course she did. You know, she's not the only one. You know, and look, don't kid yourself. There are all kind of Republicans that have been practicing the same thing. You know, I always tell people, go back to the 1992 check kiting scandal. And although it was predominantly Democrats, it wasn't just Democrats, and you will find out that there were, I forget how many, 180 or however many members of Congress. When Congress had its own bank, they were writing hot checks. And the person that got the check never knew that it was a hot check, because the guy that was running, the banker that was running the congressional bank, would just use congressional funds, your funds, and would pay the check. And then we go to the member and go, hey, dude, you're like $1,800 overdrawn. Oh, yeah, or $18,000 overdrawn. Oh, yeah, that's just an oversight. Well, the investigation found out that it wasn't just an oversight, it was institutional. And ultimately, the scandal was so horrible that the bank, the congressional bank, was closed down. All the checking accounts were ended. And there were people that were prosecuted. I forget what the end result was. But these people are criminals. It's the greatest honor of my life to go to Congress. Well, I hope that you act like Daniel Boone when you get there, and act like it's an honor and a privilege, or Davy Crockett when you get there, and Mr. Smith goes to Washington. Now, I honestly though, at the end of the day, as long as you have 330 million people, you can't have a union that is based in one center on one coast, because the political power is just going to matriculate there. That's just the way it is. You can design the damn thing any way you want. You can put all the checks and balances. I think the term limits would nip some of it in the bud, but it's beyond high time to have another, either a complete and total divorce, or at least another convention, or maybe even a meeting of the governors to get together and go like, okay, well, let's form regions. Of course, people are going to go, you can't do that. There's Article 1, Section 9. You can't have it. You can have all the meetings you want. You need to read that clause again. Governors used to have meetings all the time. And they still do, as a matter of fact, on some things. But had meetings on, like, roads. Or can we name US 11 that starts at Lake St. Catherine, Louisiana, but goes all the way to upstate New York? When it goes into Mississippi, can we still call it Mississippi 11 or LA 11? I'm sorry. Then it turns into Mississippi 11, turns into Alabama 11, turns into Georgia 11, then South Carolina, and North Carolina, and then Virginia, all the way up the coast. And so the governors met all the time. So you can absolutely have a meeting of governors, and you can determine, look, we think that this thing is out of control, and that while we can have one union, it needs to, maybe meet every 2 years, and maybe once a year or so, the regions can meet and say, well, look, we don't really need to go to the union to get this done, because the regions can do it, or the states can do it. Just the whole thing is out of control. This is democracy, though. This is life without the horrid divine right of kings, even though there never was a divine right of kings. All right. I'm just looking to see if Look to see if I left anything out that I want to ask Magdalene about. No, we'll just roll on here. Magdalene Rose, our political affairs contributor here. Magdalene, there is a stunning statistic that is just out. Rod Dreher's writing about it today. Political party affiliation by age and gender. This came out June 18th from the National Public Opinion Reference Survey. Men age 18 to 29, now Republican or lean Republican, 52%, a change of 13% from the previous year. What in the wide, wide world of sports happened?
Well, I think what happened is that people are looking at what's going on in the culture. And one of the problems for young men is that they, in that age group, they dealt with COVID, George Floyd, being told they were had toxic masculinity, and now, even more than anything else, a job market that is soul-crushing. If you are in corporate America as a young white man in particular in that age category, you could never be employed again. And I think that that is something that's even bigger than Democrats think. And Democrats can't correct it because they're outsourcing jobs for cheap labor. So the job market, I would say, is one of the biggest contributing factors.
Okay, now let's look at the other stat. Women, same question. Democrat, lean Democrat, 18 to 29, 58%. With only 37% saying that they are Republican. That is a change of 5 percentage points for the previous year. So the women are not, the young ladies are not keeping up. They're almost the opposite. How in the hell are any of these women going to find mates and get married?
Well, I think that that's not their focus. And I think that that's the difference. Young men don't have the luxury in America of not being focused on how they're going to support themselves. They just don't. Whereas young women, because we're women, have different options in front of us. So I think for young men in general, they're looking at what's happening and they're seeing the reality of the situation. Young women are still kind of in this naive state where they think it's all going to work out and everyone's going to have a six-figure Google or Microsoft job. That's not the case anymore. I think for young women to wake up, we're also not at a point yet where they're realizing the true cost of not having children. Those women in 10 years, I think they'll look a lot different in terms of where they're leading.
Okay, so Robert Starling tweeted this out yesterday when he looked at these stats. The left has no idea of the monster they created with Gen Z men. Absolutely no clue. These guys, as you just said, spent their formative years navigating an unprecedented social experiment. COVID lockdowns, DEI struggle sessions, pronouns, microaggressions, land acknowledgments, intersectional justice. And as a demographic, they simply snapped. They stopped fearing cancellation. They realized black marks on social credit scores don't leave permanent stains. And they started owning rather than futilely trying to defend against the accusations of villainy they had suffered since a young age. I'm old enough to remember that when my daughters were born in 1997, that the war on girls was coming to an end and the war on boys was in full scale war, a DEFCON 1 assault. And it looks as though this generation of boys went, okay, enough. That's it. We're not going to, our parents may have tolerated this, but we're not going to. It was a Twisted Sister 1980s rock song. We're not going to take it. We're not going to take it anymore.
No, they're not. But I think the reason for that is because they have nothing to lose. They're coming into a society that hates them because of how they were born. So if you're a young man in America now, what does it matter if you're right wing? If women are already very hostile, if the job market's already really nasty, what does it matter if you also vote Trump? And I think that that was sort of the missing component for a long time with Republicans. We couldn't get young men to realize that it didn't matter whether or not you voted for Trump, the left was still going to hate you. But now they're at that point. And I know many young men who I went to high school with or are friends with who are like lukewarm Republicans, definitely not communists or socialists.
Right.
But on a social level, they were not particularly conservative. And in the last 5 to 6 years, that changed. And I would ask them why, and they would say, well, we just can't live in craziness. Like, this is just a crazy society. The transgender thing burned a lot of people out, and I think it will be one of the main things that really cost the left, because young men looked at that and went, what is wrong with all of you?
Well, you're crazy. That's what's wrong with all of you. You're nuts. You're NVTS nuts. S. Parker 6 in the chat room says men are sick of feminism. I know that I am. Magdalene, if you go a little further up that chart there, you will see that the older women get, the less they are likely to be Democrats. Although even the older women, 65 plus, are still 47% Democrats. This all has to do with I think with reproductive rights crap.
Yeah, I think that's true. And I think that the battle to preserve abortion is very odd because there are extremes in all age categories. But I will tell you, older women are angrier at young women than I've ever seen because they feel we let them down in not protecting abortion.
Wow.
We let them down in Roe v. Wade being overturned. It's not like they were pretty much doing anything. I mean, all they did was yell and rig Democratic primaries, and they're upset with us because they feel that we've taken away the rights that they fought for.
All right, we'll have to leave it there, folks. God bless you and Mary keep you. See you for the brand new Crusade 4.0 on Monday morning.